The following podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge, a media creators co-op.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Trat Nerd Sports Podcast. We got another first, man. We've been doing a lot of firsts and lasts lately. In the same studio as before, but we got our own room, man. Moreno put us together a nice little room here at Emerge Studios. If you guys want to do any podcasting, he's your guy to talk to. But it's a good day. We missed last week. Sorry about that. Got sick. I still feel like I'm talking like I'm sick, dude.
Yeah,
I've just been stuffed up the whole time.
Weather.
But to my left,
But I got to be dedicated for my people. Yeah, I mean, work through it. What up, guys?
Harry about to lose Matt Betts Reynolds.
And across from me is, oh, never mind.
Joe, I don't even know where that dude is, man. He's just lost, and he's flowing through the wind like a plastic bag.
He's getting other offers and shit.
Shout out Katy Perry. I don't know, man. But we got a good episode for you guys. We're going to continue our Dynasty rankings for the rookies coming into the NFL. We got some NBA Finals preview. We got an argument about the WNBA. And then there was a fourth thing that I sent in the group chat, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but we'll get to it.
Oh, Justin Jefferson.
Oh, Justin Jefferson contract. Also Jalen Waddle. The wide receiver contracts, basically, in general. But we'll start with our QB rankings. And this makes me realize every position this year offensively was pretty weak. I mean, you can't really say weak because the three top guys for the QBs are good, and then we have three other guys I think that have a chance, but just for fantasy purposes, it's disgusting outside of receivers, man. Like I've done 2 dynasty drafts so far. I think 10 out of 12 in my last draft were wide receivers. I guess you count Brock Bowers. He is a tight end, and he will be on the list later, obviously. But yeah, 10 out of 12 are like pass catchers, and then like Brooks and Caleb or Brooks and Benson kind of.
Yeah, if it's not super flex, it's just all receivers.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm even surprised that Brooks went so high in your guys' draft. I think people are putting a lot in him.
Yeah, we had that conversation, and it does suck for someone. Like I needed a running back in my. Luckily, I had a shit ton of picks in the first draft I did this year, so I was able to get Benson an early second. But like.
Which sounds, yeah, having to take Brooks in the top 5 and watching someone else get Benson in the second would make me sick.
Well, that's the thing with these drafts now is it's crazy. That's why we like to do our drafts early. I push back my family dynasty, and you can see already like the hype happening with like mini camps and like just people who don't really follow college football or follow the draft are getting that knowledge now. I mean, like Brooks went pretty early. I think Brooks went 7 in the first draft I did, which was Donnie's league. And Benson, I got Benson as the 3rd pick in the 2nd round. Where now I've seen I drafted Benson in the 1st round in my dynasty.
And what pick?
8. I drafted him, but like everyone that I wanted was gone. Obviously, Neighbors and them gone. Brian Thomas was gone.
Was Coleman there?
No, Coleman was gone. So the first 6 picks were Marv, Neighbors, Adunze. 4 was Brooks. 5 was Coleman. 6 was 5 was Bauer, 6 was Coleman, 7 was Thomas. So I had between Benson, Worthy, McConkey.
What didn't want Worthy? That's crazy.
I didn't want Worthy, bro. I just didn't want him, man.
He just wasn't worthy.
I have Connor, so I hope Connor is really good this year. I'm hoping to win a championship this year, and then when Connor retires,
so you were
or gets cut, I have Benson like
making sure you locked up that backfield.
Yeah,
it should be a good offense.
I think
what about
offense.
McConkey, though? You just don't believe in him either?
It's not that I don't believe in him. It's just that with my team, I guess I'm not even wide receiver heavy anymore. It's crazy because I've done a lot of trades. But that McConkey and Benson was like a tough decision for me. But I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just wrong, but it's just like that offense. You have Greg Roman going over there. Like, well, I don't know. Like, is McConkey going to get the kind of targets that he needs?
I feel about the Chargers, that conversation we had the other night, something else we could talk about today or in the future weeks with the win totals and all that. Remember the Chargers?
Oh, yeah, they're super high up. They're hyped up.
Yeah, Vegas is real big on the Chargers. They're not too far from Green Bay and Buffalo's odds to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they have way better odds than the Steelers, which I think, like,
Even
if you
like
swap
that.
divisions, maybe that flips, but Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's like it's the hype of one Herbert, even though it doesn't matter how many times he misses the playoffs, you're just gonna have the hype, and then Harbaugh come in there, and I don't know, man. Like maybe Harbaugh just like really cleans up the they're they've just been sloppy,
Yeah.
and maybe he cleans that up, and but like even they're like a running team, and who's their running back? Gus Edwards. It's like if they had Derrick Henry or if they had like Greg Roman. I mean, Greg Roman did this with, I guess, Gus Edwards and Dobbins and Keaton Mitchell, and he kind of pieced it together. You know, he didn't have Keaton Mitchell because he wasn't there last year. But, yeah, I don't know. But if they're going to do, like, they kind of just gave you – they told you what they're going to be. They drafted Joel over Rome Odunze.
And over Neighbors.
I'm trying to remember. Wasn't it? Yeah, Neighbors was 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they drafted Joel over both these dudes who can be generational talents. It's showing you what they want to do. And it's like they grab McConkey because it's like, okay, when we're on 3rd and 3 because we ran the first 2 times, we need a possession receiver. We just need a guy who's going to get open. Like,
so you don't think he'll crush in fantasy?
I think he's going to be a good player. I think he's a very safe pick. But for me, I'm trying to win a championship. I'm trying to stay one of the best teams for the next couple of years. Like, I think McConkey is like he's guaranteed, in my opinion, to be a good wide receiver 3 for the next couple of years, and maybe he jumps up into wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 1. I'm not saying he doesn't have that potential, but it's like, is he going to have that volume? And if as the years go on, when the Chargers clean up their cap situation, I don't know if that's going to be next year or the year after. Is he going to be the only option there? Like, sure, right now he looks really cool because it's who else are they going to throw the ball to? But next year, do they draft a receiver? And do they draft a receiver that ends up becoming someone who has a way higher ceiling? I don't know. I'm just not putting as much stock into how his pathway this year as much people are because I'm kind of looking to the future.
Yeah, and you think getting Benson and locking up that backfield, whether Connor gets hurt or Connor dominates this year and then Benson takes over in a year or 2, you think that's just the way to go?
Yeah, I think
it's a good. I think it's a good offense to be in.
Me and you both think Benson is better than Brooks.
Yeah.
I think they both have very similar skill sets. And yeah, I think the offense is going. I mean, you look how Connor did last year and stacked boxes and stuff, and that offense is rising. We might get a little less volume from Benson or Connor over the next couple of years, but I think they'll be more efficient. But like, yeah, I mean, if I would have made the McConkey pick, I would have felt good about it too. I don't know. I think I am kind of looking into the future, and I think running backs are going to be bare. I mean, we'll see with this draft class coming up. They're saying the running back class will be better. But we were talking about it last week. It's like you got those 5 guys, and then it's like, what else? Everyone else is a question mark. I mean, you got, especially for young guys. Like, you take the old guys out of the mix, and then you're left with Breece Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, and, I mean, CMC, I guess you can put in there for the next couple of years. But then what? And so I have way more confidence that next year, say I win the league or I'm 10th, 11th pick or 12th pick, I have way more confidence that I could find a guy that could give me what McConkey's going to give me there. Especially if the running backs are that good this year. They're going to be gone in the first 5 picks, you know? So, I don't know. I think running back is a position that I'd just rather lock down for now and have 4 years from this guy. And I could piece together receivers. I could trade for receivers. I still have DJ Moore, who's 27. I have Jamar Chase, who's 24, 25. Debo is really and I have Debo and Ridley, who are old, but I have a couple other guys that hopefully will kind of break out. So that was just my going into it. But transition into quarterbacks and tight ends, where you're not seeing the only quarterback or tight end you're going to see in the first round this year, if you're drafting with people who know what the fuck they're doing, is Caleb Williams and Brock Bowers. And even I think Caleb Williams probably should go into the second round unless you're ridiculously QB needy. In my one dynasty, I had Fields, which was amazing last year, sucks this year. So I would have probably taken Caleb if he didn't go like 2 picks before me. But I ended up getting Drake May in the end of the second anyway. But yeah, I mean, least relevant positions this year for sure, even with how bad the running back class was. Tight ends even worse, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So you want to start with quarterbacks or tight ends?
We can start with quarterbacks.
Let's start with quarterbacks. Pretty easy. My top 3, we'll just go through. Caleb, I have Drake May over Jaden Daniels, and then I think you had Jaden Daniels over Drake May.
Just for fantasy purposes, like of the run, if he is running the ball.
Yeah.
Like in real life, I like, as I've said before, I like Drake May better than him. But for fantasy, if Daniels can add those 60 yards or whatever in there, maybe a rushing touchdown every other week or something, I think that'll be a big difference. And I like his pieces around him early on.
I have Daniels. It's weird because I'll have Daniels above May year to year, but dynasty-wise, I don't know if I do, just because of my worries of, like, he does kind of play like RG3, and I know it's been a long time since that happened, and maybe the NFL's different than it was, but RG3, one of the best fantasy quarterbacks, rookie year, just steps in immediately, gets hurt, and we never see him again. And Anthony Richardson, who's twice as big as Jaden Daniels.
They said he weighs more than TJ Watt today.
Andrew Richardson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's out in 4 games, and just the way that Daniels plays, I just have, dynasty-wise, I have more confidence that May will have a 15-year career, and
so even if Daniels has a few bigger seasons than him.
Yeah, like if I had to pick one this year, I'd pick Daniels, and then maybe he...
Yeah, because I heard Brissett starting. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think it's that crazy. I think
that just shows that he's not ready, like if he's not outperforming Brissett. Would be my problem.
I think it's very they kind of have been talking about it, like with Josh Allen, like the footwork. He's less like the efficiency with the footwork, kind of like throwing off your back foot, like mechanics wise, the shit that we've seen they can fix.
Yeah.
And also, like, why throw them in? Like, I have a lot of confidence in Polk and Baker, but what if they suck?
Yeah.
And you're just kind of throwing them in, wrecking his confidence.
No, that's true. Kind of happened with Rosen. As much as I didn't like Rosen, he had one of the worst opportunities I've ever seen.
Yeah, and that offensive line still has a lot of question marks around it. Why not just throw Brissett out there?
Yeah, the division's tough, schedule's tough.
Whatever. If you suck, you suck. You get a good pick and you add another piece for him next year, and hopefully you clean up some of his shit. Yeah. I mean, Josh Allen took 2 years.
Let him come in and play the back end of the season with no pressure when they're like 3-11 or something.
If I'm the Patriots, man, I'm just not even putting him in there.
Not even like give him a couple games just so he can have some real game speed going into the offseason.
Maybe, but I mean, the last 3 games they play us twice. Like you want to throw him up. You want to throw him up against the Bills when their offensive line's not doing that good. And
yeah, I mean, I guess from like the get him killed standpoint, but I think that would be like, yeah, go out there. The game doesn't matter. Take some chances. See what the NFL speed looks like. This is your best competition over the start your career is going to be the Bills.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe not though. I mean, I get your side of it too. I think he should at least play like a preseason thing, like start the second half of a game or something at the end or do something.
Maybe, yeah.
Just get some type of experience to carry into the offseason.
I think they should pull the Bengals when Joe Burrow went down. Just work on them and tank. Like, get another fucking great player in there, start May next year, and you have a whole new offense.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I was just saying, like, late in the season, if they're like 4-12 or whatever.
If they think he's ready, then they think he's ready, yeah.
Definitely don't win games. Like, don't put him in week 9 and end up being close to a 500 team if he comes out balling and then not get a good pick.
Yeah, on one side, I'm like, these guys should have confidence no matter what they go through, or they're not going to be a good quarterback anyway. So it's like, just let him play. But on the other side, it's like I saw like EJ Manuel show a lot of promise, and then by year 2 was just like looked scared in the pocket because his offensive line was awful. But like Josh Allen, we threw him right out there, and he like for 2 years was terrible. Like at throwing the ball, he was awful. Mm-hmm. I mean, he had a good deep ball in the second year, but was not consistent at all. Missed people all the time, and his confidence didn't get wrecked. Obviously, he's the second best quarterback in the league now. So I mean, part of me, to contradict myself, kind of thinks it's like if you're going to allow playing bad for a year to ruin your confidence, maybe you don't belong in the NFL anyway. But I don't know. I just think if you're able to stash a guy, which you should be able to if you're drafting a quarterback late second, early third, Drake May can become a guy like Herbert before he was in this system, Stroud, Burrow, who put up numbers even if they don't run.
Yeah,
I mean, I said Stroud was capped, and if he keeps playing how he played last year, he's just not.
Right.
Even though he never runs the ball, he's still going to compete for a top 5 position in fantasy all the time. Because realistically, I mean, Fields isn't even playing anymore. We'll see how it happens with Richardson. But outside of Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar, like who's really a running quarterback?
Yeah, Dak doesn't run anymore. My thing though is in non-super flex leagues, I think that approach is fair. But in super flex league, those guys are going
in the first round. Yeah, you're right.
Top 5 to top 10. Yeah. So it's a little bit different. Most of my leagues are super flex. That's why
it's tough. It is tough to take that. It's tough to take a year off on a guy if you're playing in a super flex league. Yeah.
The league that I'm in, I have Hurts and Richardson. So if I don't get a quarterback, I'm not mad. If I do get one and they don't start right away, I'm not mad. I'm in a position where I probably will be like anywhere from like the 5 to 9 seed. So that's cool. But the people who maybe think they're a quarterback away, take like Jaden Daniels anywhere from 2 to 5 or Drake May in that spot, that's where it gets scary.
See, I'm not in a super flex, but I just see, like, what if Jaden Daniels becomes Justin Fields? Because a lot of the things that I didn't like about Jaden Daniels in the draft process are the same things that kind of have plagued Justin Fields. Holds the ball too long. If he doesn't see someone open within the first 3 seconds, he just automatically resorts to running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Things that if he gets fixed, he has enough talent to be a really good quarterback. But, like, I traded for Justin Fields last year, came in second place in a dynasty, and now I just don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like,
You
legit.
thought you solved a problem for 10 years.
Yeah.
And now this dude's, behind Russell Wilson.
Yeah, so maybe, like, my brain is just messed up because I'm assuming the worst because I'm in the middle of that situation with Justin Fields. But it's more consistent. Like, I'm just kind of, like, putting my real-world thoughts on the fantasy. It's like, if I would be sick if Jaden Daniels gave me 2 years of really good production, then was consistently hurt, or he never fixes the things that kind of plagued him. You look at him. I used to say this at Arizona State all the time. When the first year he was really good for a freshman, there were some things that I didn't like, but I was like, he's a freshman, fuck it. Mm-hmm. Then he got into year 2. Either year 2 or year 3 for him was COVID. I'm not entirely sure. But whatever year I actually got to see him play, it was just like he would just like miss dudes. He would put Johnny Wilson in like ridiculous situations where he's just getting fucking laid out. If his first read wasn't wide open, he wouldn't hit it. And then he goes to LSU, and it's like your first read's almost always going to be open. It's Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors.
Right.
So if he can clean that up, sure. But there's just a real path for him being a bust, in my opinion, and just not having a job in 4 or 5 years. Like, he could be Justin Fields. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm just going with the guy who I think can consistently be there for 10 years. Like Drake May, if he's the guy I think he is, can be a Kirk Cousins fantasy-wise, where it's like, is he going to be number 1? No, but you'll have a top 10 quarterback every single year for the next 10 years, and you won't have to worry about the position.
He's athletic too. He can run.
He can run too. Yeah, it's under. Like,
I don't know if
people
it'll work in the
underestimating
NFL because like the speeds are different, but he was running in college, from time to time.
Yeah, he's not quite the athlete.
Kind of like a Justin Herbert, where once in a while you'll get like a 70-yard game out of him, and then some games he won't run at all. But
so yeah, I think we had the same top 3, but flip Drake May and Jaden Daniels. Who are you going for 4?
McCarthy. Yeah, I'm not a fan of him, but I just think he's in a great spot with great weapons, and his competition, Sam Darnold, so I think he'll start right away.
Yeah, and even if he doesn't, he has the clearest. Like Michael Penix is at least going to have to wait 2 years.
Yeah. Bo Nix is going to start probably, but like I'm not a fan of his spot at all.
Bo Nix went over Drake May in my one draft. Just handed fucking Joe Drake May as the wildest shit I've ever seen.
That's crazy. That's real bad.
Yeah, I mean, I texted dude. He texted me back. I was like, bro, come on.
Yeah.
Bo Nix. Like,
come on.
We've picked. The crazy thing is, though, is we picked on this guy for picks multiple times where he overdrafted and then they just worked.
Yeah.
Like, he took Rashad White over Olave and Garrett Wilson, and, like, Rashad White's just been better than those two.
Yeah, but even still, that's still going to be end up
Garrett
being
Wilson,
bad.
it's still a bad pick over, but Olave, different conversation for a different day, but I'm not a big fan of.
Because White probably will just be phased out in a couple of years, though those dudes are still number 1 wide receivers.
Yeah, but that's just the conversation with running backs anyway.
Yeah.
Like, that's always the conversation with running backs, that you get 4 years out of them. I mean, if you don't build the team around them where you get those 4 years in a good way, that's your fault.
Right.
So it's not the fact that Rashad White was a bad pick. It was just that guy didn't build a good enough team around him to take advantage of the fact that he was a top 10 running back.
Year.
But yeah, back to it.
Yeah, I think McCarthy definitely is 4.
Yeah, McCarthy was my 4.
Nix would be 5 for me because he is going to start right away.
So I have McCarthy at 4 because I think Kevin O'Connell can just make him into a serviceable guy. But the rest of these guys, I don't know if I ever see them being I think their ceiling is backup.
Yeah, like having Kevin O'Connell and the weapons, like there's definitely a path for McCarthy to like be really good.
Yeah.
Like I just don't see what Nix or Penix could do in their spots.
See, I would put Nix 5 if you're a team that needs a quarterback right away. If you're in a super flex where you need a guy who's going to be your backup this year. But if I had a little bit of time, if I was a championship caliber team, maybe I had an older quarterback who I can get through the next couple of years, I think I would take Penix.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Penix. I like Atlanta's offense, but I just think having to wait a couple of years, he's already old, has 2 knee injuries. It scares me.
Yeah.
I just don't know what.
I just think Penix has a higher ceiling, has better arm talent.
Yeah, I do think he's a better player.
Yeah.
For sure.
The Falcons should remain a good place for, I feel like once they have to start paying these guys, they're probably just going to cut Kirk in 2 years anyway. So he should they should retain these weapons that would give him a good surrounding cast. But once again, like super flex, you can't deal with that. And then if you're not a really good team in even a one quarterback league, you probably don't want to waste a roster spot on him. So yeah, I still did rank Penix a little higher than Nick's, but I was kind of looking for my own situation.
Yeah.
Where I have like a Kyler Murray. So I went for my final four. We'll just go through the final four. I had Penix, Nick's, Rattler, and then
Travis.
All right, you do your. I'm like blanking on my 7.
So I only did 7. So Penix was 6, and my last quarterback was Rattler. I think because Derek Carr stinks, that he has an opportunity to get on the field, maybe even faster than Penix, possibly. But other than that, I don't like any of the other quarterbacks. I don't like their spots or their talents. I like Milton. He went to New England. I would like to see him go anywhere else to maybe be like a late round, like crazy guy. But with him now being behind Drake May, I just didn't even add him to my list.
Yeah, Travis was my last one, but it's kind of I don't really have much of anything to really say about him. I do think I kind of rate Rattler a little higher than most people, though. Like,
yeah, I do too.
He does have the physical talent there.
He was mocked to be the number 1 overall pick at one point, and then Caleb Williams took his job, and like things just kind of went downhill for him from there.
Well, it was very much a mindset thing, which, like, for his sake, I hope didn't stunt his growth to a point where he can't come back from it. But if you're just talking about physical tools, like, he's probably only behind Caleb and May. I mean, and if you include running, I guess Jaden Daniels as well. But yeah, he was supposed to be a number 1 pick. He thought he was too good. Like he thought he was the greatest thing in the world. So he came into college just assuming everything was sweet, and then he ran into fucking Caleb, and it was like he went to South Carolina, had a pretty good year last year. I think because he's not going to start for a year, hopefully he can get it developed. I think he's just at this point, it's like, just draft a guy who has a chance. He has the best chance at starting. He has the clearest path to starting. He has the clearest path to become like a Dak, 4th-round pick who ends up being a really good quarterback in the NFL. I tried targeting him. I got him in 2 of my 3 dynasties so far. I tried targeting him in the 4th. I think he's just worth a 4th-round flyer once you get there. Put him on a taxi squad. If he's nothing, you drop him, whatever. But yeah, he's my last guy worth drafting. I don't think I would draft anyone else, but I just threw Travis in there to be the
Travis
7th.
is cool on the Jets, and Rodgers is old, but I don't know. Travis hadn't played college for like 5 or 6 years. Now he's coming off a gruesome injury. Like, I just don't see much there with him.
And even when he was playing, it wasn't – he didn't make crazy plays, but he also made some really, really stupid plays.
And a lot of it, too, was like he would throw it up. He had Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. Like, those dudes were like, you know, a man amongst boys. Like, he would just throw it up. They would make a play. Benson was really good. He was good at running, which he won't be able to run in the NFL with his size. Yeah. I just think a lot of his success came from being at Florida State more than, like, can it transition to the NFL? I don't think so.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons people said Coleman should be ranked higher than he was because, like, his catchable ball rate was low, but then they were like, well, look at all these throws that they technically count as catchable balls, but Joe Travis put him in a terrible – or Jordan Travis, sorry, put him in a terrible place. But at least he had some success in a high level, and he'll have some time to figure it out.
Yeah, anybody who sits behind Rodgers always has my my vote, but now you're sitting behind an older Rodgers who's rehabbing himself and is kind of like a different – he's just kind of out there now. He's like not the same person I think Jordan Love sat behind. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But we'll
Rodgers
see.
is the reason I will never do ayahuasca. I was interested in it before.
But we'll see what he's learning from him, because I do think when you sit behind a guy like Mahomes or Rodgers, or you just kind of – I didn't bring up Allen because Allen just does some crazy shit like that only he can do.
Yeah.
But when you learn behind guys like Rodgers and Mahomes, I think you could pick up on a lot of great habits.
Yeah, it's weird because a lot of quarterbacks that I don't like, I do think are good quarterbacks to sit behind. Like, I think Derek Carr is a good quarterback to sit behind because I think he does do the right things. He's just not that physically talented.
I agree.
Like, same thing like people signed Josh McCown for years. He sucked physically, but he he did everything right. It just didn't look good because he didn't have the talent. Yeah. So it was like, so I think for Rattler, like Derek Carr, he's a super humble dude, super professional dude. The things that Rattler needs to learn, I think Derek Carr is a good person for him to sit behind. The offensive system's what worries me. It's like the opposite of
That
JJ
dude's
McCarthy.
getting fired this year at least, too.
I hope so, man.
If they have another bad
they
year.
just love him, man. He's been there. He was like the defensive coordinator for. He was on the Sean Payton coaching staff for years.
Yeah, I just think because he was Payton's successor.
Yeah.
So I think they want it to work, but I think another bad year, they're going to be like, man, like we're drafting well for you. We signed Derek Carr. We did this and that. You're in the worst division by far in football.
Olave's just been a fucking just average.
Yeah, but it's not his fault.
I know it's not his fault, but that's just the reason I don't like him in fantasy. It's I don't know, man. It's just like everything's disjointed over there. So like
they're gonna need a clean house. I think, and start over a little bit, and that could be Rattler's opportunity.
Yeah. All right, we'll move to tight ends, which is just I know a lot of people like Sanat and stuff, but I just think it's bare bones, man. Bowers is the clear number one, even though I don't know if he went to the greatest situation. He still should be number 2 in team in targets. Hopefully Antonio Pierce uses his athleticism because he's like Debo.
Yeah.
I mean, we throw Debo around a little too much. He's not quite the runner that Debo is, but he was used that way in Georgia, like end arounds.
Screens and reverses and shit.
I mean, he's really, really good. We'll see if I always want to call him Oakland. Vegas uses him the right way.
With where they drafted him, I know a lot of people are worried about Michael Mayer being there, and they're worried about Adams and this and that. But where I did it too, where Vegas drafted him, and just knowing that he's a generational talent, that stuff doesn't really bother me when it comes to a guy like Bowers. It bothers me, like where I said, like Joe Milton, like he got drafted in the 5th, sitting behind Drake May, he's not going to play. Brock Bowers, they drafted 13th, dude's as good as any tight end prospect we've seen. Like he's going to be used.
The only reason it does kind of worry me is because of Pitts. Like, Pitts, one of the best rookie seasons ever. Like, we talk about Porta so much. Pitts had more yards. I mean, Laporta had 10 touchdowns, which is sick. I think Pitts had 3. But, like, Pitts was that guy when he had Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
And then kind of everything's went to shit the last 2 years. So we have Antonio Pierce, which we don't know how he's going to be as an offensive play caller. Gardner Minshew, I think people are overrating that being a bad thing.
Yeah, I like Minshew for him.
People are like, oh, who's the quarterback? Minshew? It's like, yeah, Pittman had his best year under Minshew.
Minshew puts up numbers.
Yeah, like Pittman had one of his best years. Josh Downs broke out late in the season with Minshew. I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, it might not be good for Vegas fans as far as like trying to contend with Mahomes.
Yeah,
but like as far as fantasy, I'm not mad for I'm happier having Minshew for Adams than what he had last year with Garoppolo and fucking Aiden O'Connell. Like those dudes stunk. I think Minshew will get Adams back to being a top receiver, and he'll get Bowers the ball or whoever's open.
Yeah, I mean, even in real life football, I mean, they were one play away from beating Houston.
Yeah, he threw a little bit of a shitty pass to the guy.
Still should have caught it,
or they should have handed it to Taylor.
Yeah,
and Stroud now doesn't make the playoffs, and Minshew and the Colts do. Like it's crazy to think about that.
Yeah, I think people are massively overrating Minshew
as a bad thing.
Yeah, so I guess underrating Minshew. I just kind of did a double negative. But yeah, so Bowers clear number one.
Yes, sir.
But where would you put Bowers in a redraft? Or so I'll ask 2 questions. Where would you put Bowers in Dynasty startup? Everyone's available. And then where would you put him in redraft this year? Because I think Dynasty startup, I think I would still consider him 2, 3.
Like 2nd or 3rd round.
And also, it's like, it's crazy because I'm not as big on Laporta as everyone else. I really do think he'll be really good, but like we saw Evan Ingram be great and then not do anything for 6 years. Like we saw Pitts be great and not do anything for the last 2 years, and I get it. Laporta's still in a good offensive system. It's not going to be Pitts.
Detroit's so good.
Yeah.
So I don't see Laporta slow down. I think I would take Bowers in like the 4th or 5th in a redraft dynasty, like a startup dynasty. And I think in redraft that wasn't FFPC. I'd probably
just tight ends though. Not like not really round, but like tight ends.
So
like where would you put? Like would you Laporta over him? Would you have Laporta and Kincaid over him? Which I've seen some people do.
Kincaid, McBride.
Would all be over him in Dynasty startup.
Yeah, just because I as much as I liked, like I'm confident that Bowers is great and he's generational and all that. I seen what those guys can do. I love the offenses that they're in, so I have no reason to play the game. You know what I mean? It's like, can Bowers be better than all of them? Absolutely. No question about it, but do I just want to trust what I've seen from Laporta in Detroit, Kincaid with the opportunity he has? He already produced, but now has a chance to be Josh Allen's number 1 guy. McBride was amazing. We just talked about we like where Arizona's going, so I wouldn't take him over those three. I would take him over Kyle Pitts, but I still do like Pitts a lot, and I want to see what he does with Cousins. This could be his breakout year, but I think I would go Bowers. And then who else? I would take him over Kelsey. I would take him over Kittle.
Yeah, Kelsey and Kittle I wouldn't even touch.
What,
Unless
anybody?
Um,
Hawkinson, he's close,
got hurt.
but
He's
yeah, I'll
older.
take Bowers. I don't think we're missing anybody, so
I think the clear top 5 is Laporta. Not in any order. Laporta, Bowers, Kincaid, McBride, and Pitts. I think that's clear top 5. I would even put Luke Musgrave pretty high up. I mean, I don't know how high. I'm not saying I'd put him at 6 because I don't like your wide receiver room is so spread out.
I'm still taking Kittle and Kelsey for a few just to get the stud years.
Yeah, probably just those 5. Kincaid was really efficient last year. Like if he had the same snap count as Laporta, he would have similar numbers to Laporta.
Yeah, now you have no Diggs, no Gabe Davis.
Yeah, I really think Kincaid is the clear number 2. But I'm also a Bills fan. I'm also hoping he's going to take that
McBride
step.
did crush. I don't know that it can be clear. Like if Marv could go over there.
But so many things have changed in the so many targets are taken away from that system. Where in the Bill system, there's so
they opened up.
many.
Yeah,
targets,
no, I get
dude.
that. But man,
McBride
was just really impressive last year.
I was listening to Cover One podcast. Shout out them. Tank Talk had Greg, forgot his last name, on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. And they were just like doing the math. There's so many targets. It's like between, I think they said like over 300 targets between like even like, so I think just between, this isn't gonna be an exact number, but I know between Diggs and Davis alone was like 200 something.
Yeah.
And then you just take all the smaller people like Latavius Murray had 22, Deontay Hardy, Sheffield, and then.
Yeah, I can tell you Samuel's not taking a bunch of those.
I think Samuel will get a decent amount. I think wide receiver wise, I think everyone's going to be around like 80, 90. And I just really think that Kincaid's going to be like the main benefactor. Like he'll have like 120, 130.
Yeah, I just think the way Samuel plays though, more of like you can get him open on screens and reverses and like just find different ways to get the ball in his hands. I just can't see him running a bunch of routes, get like 10 targets a game. I think Kincaid's going to just benefit from those targets so much, like double and triple of all those guys. I mean, I know a screen pass and like dump offs are targets, but I just mean like I just don't think those guys are going to get plays called for them the way Kincaid will.
Yeah, and then with McBride, I still love him. I have him in a couple dynasties, but I mean, Marv, how many targets is he going to take in the first year, and then it's just going to get higher as the years go on? I don't really remember. Does Kyler like throwing to the running back? It's been so long since we've seen him play. Like
I don't know. Connor, I feel like has caught a decent amount of passes the last few years, but Kyler's been hurt, so I'm not sure where they were from.
I guess they still don't really have a clear number 2. Like McBride should definitely still be the number 2.
Oh yeah. Because they have Michael Wilson. They picked up.
I like Michael Wilson most than most people.
Like they have decent weapons.
They did get Zay Jones.
Yeah, but nobody that's better than McBride.
Yeah. So, I mean, their wide receivers room is just a lot better than it was last year. They don't really have to lean.
Yeah, it's fair. I agree. I guess we could say Kincaid clear number 2.
And then I have like the other. I have Pitts, McBride, Bowers, and Pitts, McBride, Bowers, and who the fuck am I missing?
Laporta.
No, I already said Laporta. What the fuck?
You said your top 5 was Laporta,
so I said
Kincaid,
Laporta,
McBride,
Kincaid.
Pitts, and Bowers.
Oh yeah,
that was it.
I thought. So I have those 3 just like kind of same. Like they're just all tied at 3. We'll see who separates from who.
Yeah.
I just think I would have Bowers as the clear number 3 if he wasn't like the other 2 guys have really good quarterbacks. Like that's just what it is.
In redraft, I would still take Laporta, Kincaid, McBride. I would take Pitts in redraft this year over him. Kelsey, Kittle,
Ingram, maybe.
Yeah, Ingram, maybe, but you could. I think you could
eating.
start making a case immediately for 7th for Bowers, even in redraft.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, could he lose to Freiermuth? Could he lose to? We're forgetting Mark Andrews.
Oh yeah.
I still would take Bowers over Mark Andrews though in Dynasty.
Oh, Dynasty.
But redraft Mark Andrews.
Andrews just keeps getting hurt.
Yeah. Njoku. So there's definitely some guys. We would have to really think about redraft. Maybe Bowers would be outside the top 10, but I think he's.
And Njoku really ate under Watson though, or Flacco.
Yeah, but if Watson would have to be an idiot to not realize the production that was brought by him. Like he was great.
Yeah.
He was like tight end 1, I believe, to finish out. So, Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Bauer's definitely clear-cut number 1 in this class.
N'Keal Harry switching to tight end. That's so funny.
Now N'Keal Harry's over Bowers.
O'Connell said Harry is fired up about the conversion.
Where does he play?
Minnesota.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's going to take Hawkinson's job?
I've never been let down by more than anyone than N'Keal Harry.
Yeah, he don't even deserve my name.
All right. Tight ends. The rest of the tight ends. The reason we had to talk about redraft and Dynasty for Bowers is because there's not much else to talk about for these guys. Sanat, I guess, is the clear number 2. I guess I'm not really seeing the hype. Am I wrong in that? Because like everyone's just talking so much, like talking him up. He's jumped from the 3rd round to the 2nd round. I think he's jumped like 8 spots in Dynasty drafts in the last like month.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Jatavion Sanders better.
Yeah.
And I do actually like Sanders' landing spot, but I put Sanat 2 as well because of the hype. I think if Washington's willing to take him where they did, like they're going to get him involved. And I don't know, maybe he'll just build something. And he's in a better offense. Maybe Jaden Daniels will use him more. So I did put him 2, but it wouldn't surprise me if Sanders was better. I think he's really good.
Maybe Daniels is different in the NFL, but he never threw the tight end in college.
Yeah, tight ends in college really don't get used like that, though. And even when you look at how Bowers was used, it wasn't like a tight end. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I that doesn't bother me. And this kid is good. Like, he was playing fullback, tight end, lining up different spots, making plays at Kansas State, which was a heavy run team. So I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he's like I mean, this isn't a good comparison because Knox, even though he had that good second year, never like developed into what we thought. Like, but Knox wasn't used in college. That's why why he fell through. Ended up being one of the best tight ends in his draft class, but.
Even this dude being drafted in the 2nd with not a lot of production, like he had to have tested well and like just been really impressive.
Yeah, and I otherwise really liked Washington's draft outside of taking Daniels over May. So I maybe they're worth the trust now that they never have been before.
Like we trust Bryce Young in that Carolina offense compared to seeing what Daniels can do in
I'm really interested in Carolina's offense this year though, because it's like it's obviously not going to be one of the best in the NFL, but it's a clear upgrade. Like they offensive line awful last year. They got 2 really good guards. They didn't have a lot of weapons. They drafted Sanders, Brooks, and Leggett.
Yep.
And Leggett wasn't my favorite. The thing is Leggett wasn't my favorite, so that kind of made me have less faith in Leggett because they overdrafted him so much, and it was like, is Carolina just dumb? But I don't know, because I really like their other picks. I really like Brooks, and I really like Sanders. So I don't like Carolina's offense might. It's not gonna be great.
It's gonna be improved.
Yeah.
And if Young sucks like he did last year with this offense, then they immediately know they can just move
He
on.
has enough that he should be efficient.
Yeah. There's no reason they should be the worst team in the league again.
But who should be then?
We'd have to.
That's like the issue. Yeah, I don't know.
Like, why can't they be better than like Denver, New England?
Denver, yeah, I think Denver should probably be the worst team in the league.
Like Jacoby Brissett starting, like that team should.
Brissett wins games though.
Not with that. He was winning games with Brady's Patriots. He ain't about to win games with this.
He won
Patriots.
games in Cleveland. He won games in Indy. I mean, he's not making playoffs, but he's like winning some
They're
games.
dead. Them boys. But you're right. Yeah, I guess when you start to think about the teams, like who are they going to be worse than?
I had Sanders slightly above Sanat, but it's not really. I think it's kind of because I want to go against the hype.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Because it's just like every time someone gets not late season, but like late hype, it just doesn't seem to work out.
Yeah.
I guess Jefferson did. Like I really liked Jefferson. Like me and you both told Dom to draft Jefferson like super early on, and then like the hype came around and he started going higher.
Yeah.
But like, didn't you get Jefferson in the 2nd round?
I got him 12th.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know. Every time one of these players gets this random hype, I just don't like it.
It doesn't usually work out. That's why we don't like it.
I'm trying to think of other examples off the top of my head, but I can't really. Yeah, I don't know. Like, whatever. I mean, I'm gonna put Sanders a little bit above Sanat, but I easily could see Sanat being better. But also, like, Sanat's going to be clear. Even if he is really good, he's going to be the clear number 3. I mean, Dotson and McLaurin are going to be the 1 and 2.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it just gets ugly, man. I put Stover at 4, All Junior at 6, Wiley at 7. I know Theo Johnson's another guy who is.
Wait, who'd you have at 5?
Did I skip 5?
Yeah.
No,
You
I
said you
said
put Stover at 4.
All at 5. Oh, I skipped 6.
Yeah,
I
I knew you
six, my
skipped
bad.
something.
Yeah, I skipped 6.
Because we have the same guys and I have 7.
Yeah, my bad. So Wiley would be 6, then I'll put Johnson at 7.
So I put this Johnson dude 4. I don't know him, but Darren Waller's out here rapping and shit. Like, they said he's retiring. He's out here rapping. He's making love songs and shit. So this kid's got a chance. That's all. Like, he's got a chance to just step into a starting spot. No idea who he is. Not going to act like I do. Definitely like Eric All going to Cincinnati. Burrows needs a tight end. Then I had Stover and Wiley.
I just have Stover and Wiley above those dudes because, well, not above all. I know all above Wiley. Just because Dalton Schultz ain't going to be there forever. He has a clear path to walk into one of the best offenses in football. He was a pretty good college guy.
I just don't see him being that good.
Really?
Yeah, he's just like slow and shit. I don't know. Like he did do
It's just
well.
Schultz, dude.
Yeah, he did well in college, but that was because Ohio State I felt like was just loaded. But we'll see. I mean, going to Houston's obviously great.
He's going to a quarterback that he's already played with.
That's true too. Stroud probably likes him. I
Schultz
didn't
is
think about
also
that.
slow and fucking just open all the time.
That's true. Wiley I put because he's on the Chiefs, but like we'll see how that goes. He's wearing number 12 too. I don't like that shit.
Oh yeah, never mind. We'll put Johnson above Wiley.
Yeah, it's like come on, dude.
That's just ugly.
Yeah, Waller's
What
out
do you
here.
think you are, Tom Brady, dude?
Yeah, it's like
come on.
you're wearing Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady's number as a tight end. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, Waller was 12, and then he had to retire after. When he was 83, he was an animal.
awful. Yeah, they're awesome. I mean,
Yeah, and then he went to number 12. Now he's just a rapper now. Like you just can't be
a
number
terrible
12.
rapper too.
He
Darren
had
Waller,
one bar though. I can't remember what it was. I was in the sauna listening to him. Me and Mark were like, "This shit's horrible," but the one thing he said was fire. It was like one bar out of like a 10-minute song.
I just don't. Like one, you signed with the Giants, bro. You knew who the Giants were. You signed.
We got traded there
Did he
for
get
like
traded?
pick 100 or something. Yeah.
I thought he signed there. Oh no, he signed an extension.
Oh, he signed an extension. Okay.
Yeah. Now I gotta look it up. Now you got me.
Yeah, he definitely got traded there for
because he's getting paid. He's getting paid decent money. I don't know if that was the contract he signed with Vegas or if he signed an extension.
Kelsey Plum broke his heart, man. I'd be sick if she left me too. I thought it was him that cheated on her. His rap songs make it sound like she left him though. So I don't know the truth.
Let me see this.
She's out there balling too. She don't even miss that dude.
Oh wait, no. Wait, yeah. He signed an extension because the contract with.
Well, he got traded there and then signed.
Yeah, the contract with Vegas would have ended. After
He didn't
last
re-sign
year.
though. He didn't know what he was going into.
Yeah, but he's making more money next year. This year he's making $10 million, which is pretty equal to what he was making in Vegas.
Yeah.
Next year he'd make 12, and the year after that he'd make 13. So you're gonna why leave when you're about to make the most money in your career? 1, 2. The Giants should theoretically be better. Like Jones should be healthy as much. I don't know what the fuck that does for you.
Yeah.
And then you have Neighbors added to the offense. I mean, I guess
lost Barkley.
You lost Barkley.
He's out of there. He said I lost Kelsey Plum and Barkley. I'm out. He's sick. That's a tough offseason.
That's rough. All right, man. It's not worse than rapping though.
He's about to go after Kendrick.
There's no way you should start a rap career at 40.
That is funny.
What is he like? He's got to be like what 33.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I guess Theo Johnson to the moon, dude. I don't really think about it.
Yeah, once I saw Waller rapping, I immediately put this dude up the charts. I was like, yeah, Theo Johnson.
Well, when I saw the press conference. It wasn't a press conference, but it was like a leak that Waller was like, he really thinks he could do a lot more in New York. So I was like, because it was like he's gonna retire, and then that came out that he said something like that, and then now he's rapping. So
the best part was there was a report that they were pretty much confirming he was gonna retire, and he made a song about it. That shit was funny as hell, like saying like people think they know, but he's like rapping and shit. It's fucking funny.
Did you listen? I didn't listen.
Yeah, I listened to the whole thing.
You're funny as hell, man.
I'm not caught up on the Drake and Kendrick beef, but I made sure to listen to all
I
Darren
didn't
Waller's.
catch up on that Kendrick one.
All Darren
You hear
Waller's
Drake's
tracks.
you hear Drake's song? I'm just saying, maybe Drake's trolling. And this is a quick sidebar. I'll be done with it in about 30 seconds. The songs that immediately came out for Drake and J. Cole after this beef are awful. Like J. Cole's worst verse ever. And then Drake did a verse on Sexy Red Shit, tried being clever and flipping the BBL Drizzy beat. It sucked. And then he did the Delilah song. What's it called? Hey There Delilah. He did like a Toronto.
I saw you couldn't think of that. It was Hey There.
He did a Toronto accent remix to it. Maybe he's trolling because Kendrick picked out his accent, and maybe it's funny, but it's awful. It's terrible, bro. It's terrible.
Do you think Kendrick changed these dudes' lives? You're funny as hell, bro.
I'm sorry, man.
Hey, get back to football, man.
I'm sorry, dude. It's just like I gotta play it for you because you might agree with me. We're gonna play it. Maybe like I'm gonna play it for about 5 seconds because I don't want this episode to get taken down. But it's called Wagwan Delilah. I don't even know if it's on. They didn't even put it on streaming services because that shit is awful.
It's probably a joke.
I hope it's a joke. Anyway, all right. Sidebar done. Yeah. So that was that's the tight ends, and I don't really have much else to say about any of these dudes other than Bowers.
Yeah.
So going over, we'll talk about we'll go to the contracts then. So we had an argument not really an argument, discussion in our group chat with all the dudes that listen to our podcast. Shout out to you guys. I don't think it's worth it to pay these receivers this kind of money. Jefferson might be worth it because he's on a team with a rookie contract.
But if you have a rookie quarterback, it's fine.
If Ayuk gets traded to the Steelers and they want to give him that money, sure.
They have the same situation, yeah.
But, like, at what point does it become more detrimental to pay these guys than helpful?
Yeah.
The Diggs contract, I know he's not on the team anymore, but it's like the Bills look like geniuses with the contracts they gave Josh Allen and Diggs now. Like, Josh Allen's like the 9th highest paid quarterback in the league. If Diggs was still on the team, he would be like 14th highest paid wide receiver now. Like
he shouted out Josh Allen today too in his interview.
He's making like $25 million a year before the restructure he did with Houston. Now he looks like a genius. I thought he looked stupid for getting out of that contract. Like, you're old and shit. Why would you not take your payday?
More now.
He's making less this year, but he'll be out this year, and maybe he could take advantage of this market one last time.
Oh yeah,
because he was only making. I think we gave him. You're gonna have to look it up, but it was like highest was like 28. I think we paid him 24 last year, something like that. But now you got like Waddle's making 28. Waddle's never done anything that Diggs has done in his career. He had the 1 year, I guess, but he's not who Diggs is yet.
Yeah.
You're kind of hoping that he becomes that with the payment that you're giving him. Ayuk's probably gonna get 30 to 33. Had one really good year. St. Brown. Yeah, better than Diggs. He's been that dude. Jefferson's obviously been that dude. So it's not really the conversation on whether these guys deserve it or not. Is it beneficial for your team?
Yeah.
So we already said that it would be smart for the Vikings, but like now let's look at the Lions. You just gave so much money to Sewell. You just gave Goff $50 million, which isn't the percentage of the cap that it was when Allen got it. So I guess it's a little different. But you're still paying over $100 million to 3 players, or maybe it equals out to be $100 million.
You're gonna have to pay Hutchinson. You're gonna have to pay Gibbs,
and it's like the stuff you're going to lose over the next couple of years. Is it worth it? Like, do the Lions?
I guess it all just depends if you get that one Super Bowl in that time frame.
I guess, man, but it's like for the Lions, we'll just use the Lions because they do have an expensive quarterback. You have 1 year, I guess, before all these dudes start, like Hutchinson, all these dudes need contracts. Gibbs you got another 3 years on. Like, are you going to be a NFC Championship team when you start losing these guys? And I don't think
the Bengals are going through it. We watched them go to the Super Bowl, the AFC Championship, and now they're losing their players.
Yeah, they're going to have to pay Chase at least what Jefferson got, probably more, because that's just how it works. It's not about who's better; it's about who gets paid after.
Yeah,
it's like Josh Allen got paid more than he didn't get paid more than Mahomes, but Herbert got paid more than Allen, and all these Goff got paid more than Allen because they got the contract after Allen signed it. So Chase is probably going to get $1 million or $2 million more, even if it's $500,000. He's going to go on and be like, I want more than Jefferson. Ayuk's probably going to get St. Brown money, if not more. What are you going to do as a Bengals team who made the Super Bowl because you were stacked? You're not going to be able to keep Higgins and Chase. Like, what do you already lost Boyd. You already lost Mixon. You already lost defensive players. And with their safeties were not that good last year. I mean, they brought in Stone, so we'll see that. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm just asking the question. Like, at what point is it quarterback? You have to do it. You just have to. But with receiver, do you have to do it?
Here's my thing. Obviously, as a Packer fan, I love, if you looked at our whole receiver room, $30 million between all of our receivers combined. So Justin Jefferson himself is making $12 million more than the entire Packers receiver room. The Bills are paying Stephon Diggs the same amount this year to not be on the team as the entire Packers receiver room. Now, I know it's not easy to just...
But the Bills are moving towards the same thing the Packers are doing.
And that's my point. Like, it's not easy to hit on a bunch of receivers the way Green Bay has. But I think that's what teams should try to do. Because is Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Datavion Wicks, Bo Melton, is any of them Justin Jefferson? Fuck no. No. None of them will ever be Justin Jefferson. But could those 5 or 6 receivers help win a game more than Justin Jefferson? I think, hell yeah.
Yeah.
There's only so much a receiver can do to win a game. We've watched teams take receivers out of the game.
We've seen Diggs get taken out every playoffs because we didn't have a good enough number 2.
Yeah, teams will double and triple your guy. They'll have a guy up top. They'll do this. They'll do that. We saw Tyreek Hill, besides that one long catch, do nothing in the playoffs versus Kansas City last year. We've seen the games with Diggs. We see games where these top receivers do nothing. So at least in Green Bay's defense, it's like, okay, Christian Watson did nothing this game, but Jaden Reed did. Jaden Reed did nothing, but Dobbs did. Dobbs did nothing, but Watson did. You have so many weapons, and I know it's not easy to just hit on all those guys, but why not try to build that way?
Yeah, and it's tough to use the Chiefs as an example because it's Mahomes, and obviously not everyone could do that. But Kelsey was either hurt or kind of ass for most of the season before the end of the year. And then Rice also did not become who he became until the last 4 or 5 weeks of the year, maybe 6, 7, but not the first half of the year.
Kansas City's actually a great point. I'm happy you brought them up.
And they made it work. And it's like, sorry, go ahead.
My thing is like when you look at what Kansas City did, they drafted Raji Rice in the second. They drafted Sky Moore in the second. They got Kadarius Toney for a cheap, whatever. They got Scantlin for a cheap whatever. Just unfortunately, and they had McCole Hardman. Unfortunately, those dudes all sucked outside of Rice. But why not do that? So you could pay your quarterback, you could pay Jones, you could pay whoever the fuck else they're paying their top players, and then you get them enough weapons. It just, Sky Moore does stink. But if they would have drafted Pickens. So now you have Raji Rice, George Pickens, and then instead of getting Scantlin, they got whoever else was a decent free agent. Now you have Pickens, Rice, and that decent free agent. Like now they got Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just think I like what Kansas City's doing. They're kind of recycling through guys. Like, all right, we lost Tyreek Hill. Now we got Juju, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney. Okay, now we got Raji Rice, Scantlin, and who they bring in? Who else did they have last year?
The Chiefs?
Yeah.
They had Scantling, Hardman, Sky Moore, Rice, Toney.
They're kind of just recycling through like cheap receivers that are getting older. Yeah. And drafting guys. So now this year it's Raji Rice, drafted worthy again, another receiver, and then brought in Hollywood Brown. Next year they might get the next old receiver or whatever and draft another receiver. That way they never have to pay Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
They let Tyreek Hill go.
If Rice keeps, he might get suspended, but if Rice keeps going and becomes one of the best slot receivers in the league, they let him go. Yeah.
I get Ian's point. I do. It's a huge benefit having this top receiver who could just, he's going to be open and make a play, or you hope so. But I just think it just takes from you in so many other areas. And that's why it's tough to catch the Chiefs.
And that's what I said. It does depend on situation. Like Vikings have a rookie quarterback. Not only are you paying Jefferson for his talent, but you're also paying for him to be the safety blanket that Diggs was for Allen before Allen was great. Mm-hmm. Or Hill was for Mahomes. Like, you want your young guys to have the guy that their decision-making's not there yet. So if they're going to make the bad decision to throw it to one guy, you want it to be Hill, Jefferson, Diggs. So Minnesota, I'm not criticizing them at all. You also have Addison on the other side on a cheap deal, so it's not like you're only stuck to one guy. You have Hawkinson if he comes back healthy.
Yeah, they'll let Jefferson go and then extend Addison or something. Like they probably have.
They have 4 years of being cheap at the quarterback. Like that if McCarthy is really good and they have to pay him, then okay, you have to get rid of Jefferson or whatever. But yeah, like if you're not one of those teams, if you're a team that has to pay a quarterback, at some point it's just like I like what the Bills are doing more than I like what, say, the Lions are doing. Even though I love St. Brown. And they kind of are given a pass because they got Laporta as well. I just think if Coleman is even average, you're going to have 3 dudes out there that can get open at any time.
Yeah, none of them are better than Diggs.
No.
We know that.
But
3 of them could produce and win games maybe at a higher rate.
Are you, as a defense, are you going to have 4 cornerbacks that can guard Coleman? Maybe you have Snead or someone who's going to lock down Coleman or Shakir or whoever they pick for the whole game. But do you have 4 guys who are going to be able to guard Kincaid, Coleman, Samuel, Shakir, even MVS, who I don't like as a number 2, but as a number 4, I think is great.
Yeah, he'll make a play or two.
So,
here
like,
and there.
are you going to have enough dudes to cover a bunch of good guys? Because, like,
Right.
you can double Jefferson. We didn't, like, last year we don't know what happened because, I mean, like, Hawkinson was out. Jefferson kind of missed a couple games. So we don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know how
hurt.
that offense is going to look.
Cousins was out.
But, like, can you... I don't know, man. Like, we'll have to see. Like, is it easier to guard Laporta and St. Brown because they lost Reynolds, who was, like, a good 3rd or 4th option?
Yeah, they really need Jamison Williams.
If
to step
Jamison
up.
doesn't step up, like, let's just say Amon-Ra St. Brown and Laporta are the only 2 good options, and they have Gibbs. So it's not a problem now. We'll see in a couple years.
Yeah.
Because this year, obviously, like, now that I'm thinking about it, like, you're not going to be able to guard Laporta, Gibbs, and
for
St.
this
Brown.
year for sure.
Yeah.
It never hurts the first year. It's when these teams don't think about the future. Like even look at the
better
Raiders.
the better thing to talk about will be the Bengals, right? They do have T, but let's just say
That's if he plays.
yeah, because he
if he
wants a new
wants to
contract,
play, yeah.
and they can't give him Waddle money, and that's what he's going to get. He's going to get at least Waddle money. So let's just say next year, right? They lost Tyler Boyd now. Let's assume T. Higgins is gone. Let's assume Jermaine Burton is just good. Maybe he becomes the next T. Higgins. Maybe he sucks. Let's just put it right in the middle. He's good, but he's not great. Is it easier to guard Jamar Chase, Jermaine Burton, add another fucking
They don't have a
minimum
running
guy
back
to
because you couldn't
third?
pay Mixon now.
Yeah, is it easier to guard them, or is it easier to guard Shakir,
Samuel
Coleman, Kincaid,
Scantling,
or
fucking Claypool, whoever was
Musgrave,
out there,
Watson,
yeah.
Reed? Like, I don't. What's easier to defend?
Yeah,
I mean-
I looked at the way the offense was run with Rodgers and Adams. They were unique because they were one of the best duos of all time. But just imagine if when Rodgers left, Jordan Love stepped in, and it was Adams, like Scantling, Lazard, like that. He wouldn't have been able
But
to
your
do
offense
much of
got
that.
better immediately.
Exactly.
I mean, you
and
lost-
then Vegas immediately went backwards because they had to pay Adams
Yeah.
a bunch of money.
You lost Adams 1 year, and the next year you lose Rodgers, and like your offense is way better because
Yeah.
you have a guy who doesn't feel like. And I think that could
Now we
happen
just
to
went
the
and
Bills.
scooped Josh Jacobs too. We were able to pay money to a running back, which is a position that doesn't get a lot of money. We paid McKinney at a position that doesn't get a lot of money because our receiver room's getting $30 million. So we're now going to just be
And your
one of the
quarterback's
deepest
not
teams in
getting
the
paid
league.
either yet.
He's
I mean,
going
he
to get
will
extended.
next year. He will.
No, he's going to get it this. In
Yeah,
a
but
couple
it won't
months.
hit the cap
Oh,
until
okay,
next
okay,
year.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think the Bills have a real serious shot to be what the Packers were last year, where everyone's worried that you don't have. I mean, I know Adams left 2 years ago, but everyone's worried that you don't have that Adams, and they just end up being just as good or better.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go ahead and just say that off the rip
Because you do got to hit
'cause that
on the
would be
picks and the
biased.
guys. You got to still hit the right pieces.
Yeah,
you can't just have Sky Moore type players and it's
Yeah,
not going to work.
yeah.
But
without the evidence to point to, it would be biased as a Bills fan to be like, oh, the offense got better without Diggs. I'm not just going to go ahead and say that, but I do think that there's a serious shot.
you feel confident and comfortable going into the season
Yeah.
without Diggs.
I really like Diggs, and I really like Shakir, dude. Shakir might not be Diggs in a lot of ways, but he's 10 times more explosive. I mean, like, when he gets the ball in his hands, he is a yard after catch guy.
Yeah.
Like, we saw that dude shake fucking Sauce Gardner out of his shoes. Like, we saw some big plays at the end of the year last year. Kincaid will be open all the time. I'm like, Kincaid's my fucking prediction of the year, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I know we don't like giving all our fantasy secrets out because
Yeah,
the
I
people
love
that watch the
Kincaid as
show
well.
like will snipe our picks, but we draft with mostly Bills fans anyway, so they're gonna snipe them anyway. If you're from out of Buffalo, draft Kincaid 10 spots higher, I think. His ADP is already kind of baked in, but he's my guy. Like, I think he's the guy that takes the biggest step in the NFL this year. Him and Pitts, I'm so confident in them. Pitt's a little less so because I don't know if Cousins will play the first 6 games of the year or whatever. But I'm so confident in them if Cousins is healthy.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have them everywhere if they start falling. I know Kincaid won't. Pitts might. But those are just my 2 guys this year.
Yeah, but another team like a Pittsburgh, they didn't pay Deontay or whatever. They let him go.
Yeah.
Or they traded him. So now you have Pickens on a rookie contract for a couple more years.
He'll probably have to get paid. He'll have to get an extension next year.
Roman Wilson. And then they have that Kelvin Austin kid. So if they were to trade for Ayuk or Debo with what they're paying their receivers and what they're paying their quarterbacks, that's completely fine to me to overpay Ayuk now.
Yeah.
Now you can do that. And then you have your young quarterback in Fields after Wilson leaves or whatever. When teams do it like that, I have no problem with it. But when teams are paying a receiver and a quarterback and they have like like we talked about, who's Detroit guy, Hutchinson. They have too many top guys. They have the offensive lineman, Sewell, that you're talking about. Like, I just think eventually it's not going to work out. They shorten their window when they do that.
Yeah, and it kind of gets back to, for me, with the quarterback thing, I've said a bunch of times, I know the overarching theme of the NFL is the quarterbacks have all the power, but if you don't think you have a guy that can elevate receivers that aren't getting paid that much, then you shouldn't pay your quarterback that much. That's just my opinion. You pay Allen knowing that you're going to have to get rid of Diggs because Allen, you're that guy. You're going to have to elevate these guys. You're going to get a bunch of average to above average guys because that's just what we're going to have to do because you're getting paid. If you don't think Jared Goff is that guy, if you don't think Dak is that guy, you shouldn't pay him.
That's actually another one.
Like just yeah. I mean, CeeDee Lamb's probably going to get paid more.
Now you're paying Dak top of the line, CeeDee Lamb top of the line, and Parsons top of the line. What are you going to do? How are you going to put together a team around that?
And the worst part about the Cowboys is if you are going to pay your guys, right, pay them early. Pay them before everyone else gets paid. The Cowboys wait until the last minute every time, and then they get fucked.
Yeah.
Then they get fucked. If you would have paid Dak 2 years ago, you'd be paying Dak 50. But now that Goff got 50 and Dak's been more consistent than Goff, I personally like Goff more, but he's been more consistent. Now Dak is going to get 60. If you would have paid Dak 2 years, and now it's the same thing with CD. You waited to pay CD until after Jefferson.
Now Jefferson and Chase will probably both get paid.
Love CD. I'm taking Jefferson 10 times out of 10. Now you're going to have to pay CD more than Jefferson.
Yeah, even if you took Lamb, because I think it's close enough to even say that, but it's just they wait and have to always pay more.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing with Parsons. You're seeing Daniel Hunter and all the getting all this money, and you're going to have to pay Parsons more because Parsons is younger and more consistent. So now you
got a handful of guys who are arguably the best players at their positions, but you have nothing else.
Yeah,
and how you can't win that way, and that's why Dallas.
The Cowboys, the Cowboys are a fucking paradox. They draft better than almost any team in the NFL, and they've won 2 playoff games in the past 10 years because they do dumb shit that makes it so they have to lose their players.
They need Jerry Jones to get rid of, like he has to sell the team or something.
Their GM, who's in charge of drafting, great. Gets Parsons, gets CD, gets even getting. I don't know if it's the same guy, but you get Dak in the fourth round. Like. It's just so weird that you draft better than almost anyone, and you're in. I mean, they win games in the regular season, but you never show up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So now, not only the Cowboys in the conversation that we're saying that we think it's kind of dumb to pay these receivers this much, but now they exasperate their own problems all the time.
Yeah.
You knew CD last year was that guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, either trade him or pay him. Pay him before Jefferson gets his contract.
And he'd probably be after Chase too.
I mean,
so that's my take on it. I think you should sign guys who are getting a little bit older but still are good, and draft a bunch of receivers in the middle rounds. And
yeah, I think that's what Bean's been great at. I mean, he pays his guys. He sees where the market's going. He pays them, even if it's an overpay at the time. It always ends up being a good contract for the Bills.
Yeah,
the Bills have yet to sign a contract other than Von Miller, but I looked at it and I was like, that's a bad contract.
Yeah.
And even Von Miller was like a risk.
The Cooper Kupp was literally, from what I seen talking to Ian, was the only receiver that was a top-of-the-line guy in, like...
The year he won.
He won Triple Crown, and they won the Super Bowl. But the Rams are a unique situation because they traded a bunch of shit for their quarterback.
Who wasn't getting paid that much because he got his contract years before this shit exploded.
Then they traded a bunch of draft picks. That's how they were able to have Von Miller and Stafford...
ODB before.
Yeah, whoever they had, injury. I can't even think, but they just mortgaged their whole future.
Did they have Bobby
for
Wagner that year, or did they get him the next year?
I think they got him the year after. That's what I was trying to think. Like they had Ramsey, so like all these dudes that they had were because they literally mortgaged their entire future on it, and then then Cooper Kupp was able to carry the offense for the most part.
Yeah, and then,
but it's like that's not common. When you look at a lot of these other teams that have won, it's not because they had a top receiver.
Yeah, I mean Hill the 1 year,
Tyreek.
Yeah,
but even still, like. Now that
they've won
Mahomes,
2 without him.
Yeah, like they had Hill and Kelsey, which is great, but they just have a really good team. Like I don't just look at it like, you know what, Tyreek
I think the 1 year, the year they won it with Hill when they beat us in the 13 seconds. Oh, they didn't win it that year, but
yeah, because that was they ended up losing to who?
Yeah,
the Bengals.
The Bengals.
That was the year the Rams won.
Yeah. But to
don't
be fair,
get me wrong,
both of those teams had Chase in the cup. But I'm saying, I think
Kelsey,
Tyreek. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I do think that Tyreek is one of those guys in that. I do think they won one and then beat us in 13 seconds because of a guy like Tyreek.
But I don't even think Tyreek did anything in the Super Bowl. versus San Fran.
Yeah, but having Tyreek, man, you just have to fucking.
Yeah, you have to account for him, and it opens things up. That's fair. That's fine.
Like, you got Kelsey one-on-one in the end zone to score the
I just
game-winning
think them
touchdown.
winning 2 Super Bowls after, it's almost just like.
Yeah, but by then they had way better defense.
Well, just because it proves that you don't need.
Yeah. That proves what we're talking about. Yeah, you get rid of that receiver and then you put some money into the defense.
Like just thinking about some of these teams that have won, like Tampa had Mike Evans, who I think is one of the best receivers of all time, but they also like Fournette took a pay cut, Gronk took a pay cut, Antonio Brown took a pay cut, Godwin was on his
and Brown was
deal.
as good as he ever. That was Brown's best year outside of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, like they were just loaded. They had a bunch of dudes that wanted to play with Brady, took pay cuts, and like shifted
Best
money
defensive line
around.
in
Yeah, so
football.
it's tough. I don't know. I just don't think that you need a top of the line receiver. If you can have one and somehow have all your other players on rookie deals and it works out, like Detroit can make it work this year, but long term it's not going to work because all those other great players are going to need paid. They're going to go elsewhere. It's like the Bengals losing Bates, Mixon, Boyd, Higgins.
They've lost everyone.
They've lost so many guys because they're not going to just take pay cuts. They want their money too.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase for the next 20 years. It's going to be cool, but if that's all you have, then you probably won't go back to another Super Bowl.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying to Ian. I think Brady and Bean's done. Like, we have to. The draft picks are what really matters. But outside of the draft, which I think he's done well, but we can't grade yet. I just think Bean's been doing a masterful job of like the past 2 years of. And I've criticized Brandon Bean, I think, more than anyone on this show. If you go back and listen, I criticize him all the time. I don't think his drafting was that good up until about. I really liked last year. I really like this year. I just think he's been doing a masterful job, dude. Like cutting the cap, getting rid of the old guys, and like just having a lot of good guys, and like not being overinvested in any one position, getting ahead of the contracts. I think that is what's going to make the Bills and the Chiefs do the same thing. They get ahead of the contracts. If they can't get ahead of the contracts, they trade guys.
Yeah,
their defense is going to be worse this year because they traded Snead, but it was like, if we can't keep him, let's get something for him.
Right.
And we did that with Diggs, which I initially didn't like, but it's like, well, we're not going to keep him because we need to fix our cap, so let's get that second-round pick. I think those teams, I think the Chiefs, and not even just because of Mahomes and Allen, they're obviously the number one option, but I think because of their GMs being very frugal in the ways they need to be and really leaning into the draft, I think the Chiefs and the Bills in the AFC are set up better than anyone for the future. I'm not talking about this year. They're both contenders this year. But for the future, take all the Super Bowls the Chiefs won out of it. I would still rather be a Chiefs or Bills fan, AFC-wise, than about anyone other than maybe Houston. Houston's got a real cheap team. We'll see how they work into Stroud's longer into the career. But you just look at all these other teams, and they're just... I guess maybe the Chargers, they have like a blank slate. So
yeah, we'll see how that goes.
But like Bengals, so many questions. Like, how are
the
these
Ravens were AFC Championship team? They didn't have a big top receiver.
Ravens are also another team that are doing it really well. Baltimore always drafts really well. They get out of the contracts they need to get out of. So yeah, I would say they're probably the top three. Not just because of how good they are this year, but just looking into the future. Like those are the three teams I think that have, and then NFC, the Packers, the Bears. The Bears for a different reason, obviously, but I like just got like not talking about this year, but years 2, 3, 4 from now. Bills, Ravens, Chiefs are doing everything right. Packers are doing everything right. Detroit, like I feel really good about them for 2 years, but then it's like, what the fuck happens? Yeah. Same thing with San Fran. Like, what the fuck's gonna happen with Purdy when, like you got to start losing some of these guys,
and he'll need to be paid.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to make everything about the Bills. I just love what Bean's been doing. Like, I have way more confidence this year than I did 2 years ago in the future of this team, which then rotates back to the original conversation. And I just don't know if paying a receiver like this much money is worth it. At some point, with both the QB and the wide receiver markets, someone's going to have to make a rough decision.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you plan on winning, man? I don't know. Like, I just don't know how you plan on winning with Goff, St. Brown, Penei Sewell, and then what? And Gibbs, and then what else? Because you're spending all this money. But that was a good conversation. I like that. Shout out Ian for kind of helping spark that. Moving on, NBA Finals. 2 days from now,
Should
man.
Be a
I
good
can't
one.
believe it's already here. Luka fucking absolutely insane. Did anyone think Mavericks had a chance at making the finals? Like, I mean, a chance, sure, but like
before the playoffs.
Yeah, before the
No,
playoffs.
not that I know of.
Yeah,
I liked them to beat. I did like them to beat Minnesota. But
like coming into the
yeah,
series, though,
before the playoffs started, though, no.
Yeah, like
I thought Denver was for sure going back.
Luka and Kyrie, like I don't want to say finally because they were playing well together in the season too, but they just reached a new level of
one of the best duos of all time.
Not consistency. What's the word? Chemistry. They reached like a new level of chemistry together. Like they just seem to know exactly how to play next to each other. If Luka's having a rough time, Kyrie steps right in, will score. Yeah. Kyrie will score 30 and a half, and then he'll start missing shots, and then Luka will – I mean, sorry to bring it back up, but you lost the bet because this happened. Kyrie fucking goes crazy. No, you won the one bet. He got it on the last one.
Yeah.
Kyrie goes crazy in the first half.
Yeah, 24 in the first half.
Gets 6 in the second.
Yeah, he had 28 points with 7 seconds left. He got fouled and hit both free throws.
But yeah, that game is like a perfect microcosm of like why they've been so successful. Kyrie can go crazy in the first half. Luka could be like on 40% shooting, and then Kyrie just not very good in the second half. Luka scored, I think, like 28 points in the something fucking nuts in the second half that game. They end up winning that game, and they end up beating Minnesota. And it's wild. I love the NBA right now because there's no clear-cut best player. You have to give it to Joker because of past. But if you're just talking about today, Joker lost
right now.
Joker lost in 7 to Minnesota,
and Luka
packed them up.
Yeah, bad. So I think now you got to shift it to Luka.
And it's like Luka's stat has had MVP.
He's had the stats.
He's had the MVP stats. People
he just wasn't
unfairly
winning.
Have been saying you haven't been winning, but it's like he's been in the league for what is this 6th year? 5th year?
It's close.
2019, right?
Was it 19?
Or was it 2018?
I think it was 18.
Yeah, because he had a year before the COVID year, I think. Either way, 5th or 6th year, you're like, oh, he hasn't won anything. It's the same thing with Josh Allen. They've been in the league for 6 years. They didn't win the championship. That's so dumb. LeBron didn't win until LeBron won in like his 7th year or something like that, 8th, whatever. Luka has now been to 2 Western Conference Finals and 1 Finals. Like he does win. He hasn't won the championship, but he wins more than most people in the league.
Yeah. And that team he went to the Western Conference Finals with was kind of like
a couple years ago was kind of ass.
Yeah.
I mean, they had Brunson, and I guess they just weren't using Brunson the right way.
We didn't know that Brunson was that good yet. So maybe it could have been better if Luka didn't dominate the ball so much or whatever. But
I will say I'm not going to be a prisoner of the moment. I mean, I've criticized Luka in the past for kind of just playing how James Harden used to, where he wasn't getting the rest of his team involved. And that means something. Like it really does mean something. Like you can look at 10 assists and be like, oh, he's passing the ball, but you have to really watch the game to see is he getting guys in the groove early.
And I think he is now.
He is now. Yeah, he's completely switched his game.
I think Kyrie's helped him a lot.
Yeah, he trusts Kyrie. He trusts PJ Washington. He trusts a lot of these guys who aren't big names but are doing big things.
Yeah.
And he's instead of just using his offense to be a great individual player, he's really using his offense to open shit up.
Because he knows he could score at any moment. I think that's what he didn't realize before, is he was worried about getting himself going or like not trusting his teammates. And now he's kind of like, okay. Like if you look at the OKC series, Kyrie only averaged like 16 a game, and Luka probably averaged like, I'm assuming like 25 or something.
Yeah.
But PJ and Derek Jones and
PJ was going crazy.
Yeah, they were trusting those guys. And then when Minnesota decided to defend Luka one-on-one and Kyrie one-on-one, they're like, okay, we'll just bust their ass.
And that's kind of what happened with the series, the Heat Mavs series back in the day. It was like they didn't have stars other than Dirk, but Dirk, they had so many good dudes that could just do their role.
Yeah.
And Dirk, I wouldn't say was a facilitator. They had Kid to play that role, but they just put people in the right positions, and that's been so underrated in NBA recently because we were in the era of the big three, and it was like if you have LeBron, obviously you're going to make a championship because LeBron. And I think that's another reason that we unfairly criticize Luka, because LeBron walked in day one and knew how to make his teammates better. So we kind of wanted the same thing out of Luka, and it's kind of taken him a couple years. But dude's like 24 years old.
Yeah.
25 years old, whatever the fuck he is. Like it's unbelievable what he's accomplished now. And if he's able to beat this fucking Boston team, I think he's already probably had individually the greatest 5-year start to a career. If you include winning, I mean, like Jordan couldn't get out of the first round. LeBron didn't have any championships at the time. LeBron's probably in there too. I think LeBron also made the first team NBA. I think it was second. So he didn't make it the first year, second team, I think the second year, and then the next 4 were first team. Luka's made all. Oh, yeah, he's been in the 5 years.
He didn't make it the rookie season.
Yeah, so he's been in 6 years.
But if he beats
You're talking about
Boston,
LeBron or Luka?
Luka.
Yeah, so that means he's been in 6 years because now he's made 5 straight
And then
NBA
didn't
first
get one.
teams.
If he beats this Boston team, it'll arguably be the greatest postseason of all time.
Yeah.
He's led in every category in the playoffs of everything.
Yeah.
Steals, rebounds, assists, points, 3-pointers.
To be fair,
made.
those are total numbers. He's played more games. Well, not really yet, more games because the finals hasn't started yet. But he's made it further than a lot of guys.
But still, like,
But it's still very impressive, yes.
to even lead in steals.
Yeah.
Like for a guy who doesn't play, they say don't play defense, has been an amazing
Very
defender.
underrated. But that his defense has been
Even
so...
to lead in rebounds, though, bro. You're telling me that Rudy Gobert played the same amount of games as Luka? Actually, more.
No, didn't he miss a couple games?
Oh, he did miss a game.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they went 7 versus Denver. What'd Luka go? 6 versus
6
OKC.
versus
So they
OKC.
played even amount of games, and he leads in rebounds. Like, I don't know. It's still just impressive to me that he leads in every category.
Yeah, I mean,
3-pointers made.
he's basically just doing what only thing we've ever seen. The only player we ever seen do this was LeBron. I mean,
Yeah, what he's done, he's become, I want to say, like the 3rd or 5th player to do what he's done. It was this guy, Luka, and then LeBron 6 times.
yeah, it's
That's
nuts.
nuts. Like, that's nuts how good LeBron is, and I think people don't appreciate that. Like, because we're talking about Luka having one of the greatest postseasons ever. LeBron every year had one of the greatest postseasons ever, year after year after year.
What I'm gonna say is, I think not because of LeBron, but because of the Warriors, I think that was the worst era in basketball, like in my lifetime. It was the 3 or 4 least enjoyable years of basketball in my life.
Yeah, well, it was just like fast forward to the Cavs Warriors. We know what it's going to be.
Not only that, but it's like we should like that like those beautiful playoff experience performances by LeBron should have led to championships, but they couldn't because not only was Warriors the buildings a super team, but it was like now it was just crazy because I don't even mind that it was the same 4 teams every year, but every year the team who won it was because they didn't get hurt and the other team did.
Yeah.
It was just like the first year I think LeBron would have beat them.
Yeah, he lost
Kyrie and Love, and then the second year they beat the Warriors and like Curry was awful because his ankle was bothering him, and Draymond gets knocked out for a game. It's just like every single one of those series just kind of felt tainted to me.
Mm-hmm.
Super sidebar, but yeah, back to Luka. Yeah, like if he wins his championship beating a Celtics team that is probably not better than those Heat teams because LeBron's way better than anyone that's on the Celtics.
But they've been the favorite since day one.
They're
year,
way deeper than
Yeah.
those Heat teams were. They've been favored all year. They won over 60 games. They just annihilated it. But they've had a cakewalk in the playoffs, but they've also annihilated everyone.
They only have 2 losses.
Yeah, I mean that's
Who do you think's gonna win?
I really, really want to root for Luka.
Yeah, I'm definitely
and Kyrie. Like I used to hate Kyrie, but now it's like he's just.
I love Kyrie.
I love Kyrie now. I like PJ Washington. I like the fact that they got like dogs on that team.
Yeah.
Like, but fuck, dude. I mean,
Boston's so good. Porzingis, I think, is back too.
Especially if Porzingis is back, I think it's Celtic. Like if he pushes it more than 5 games, I think that's a fucking
If
accomplishment.
Porzingis is healthy and like himself, I got Boston in 6. But I do think if Porzingis is not healthy, I'll take Dallas at 6. I think that's as big as a difference Porzingis will make.
Yeah, I mean, I think the crazy thing is though, it's just like I can see the path for Boston losing, even though I think the better team. Because if Tatum isn't consistent, Tatum's one of those guys.
He was horrible in his first finals.
Yeah, and even the conference finals, he like averaged 30, but you watch him and it's like some of those points were garbage time. He had like 2 really good games that like kind of inflated the stats from the bad games he had.
Well, that's why they gave it to Jaylen Brown.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They weren't fooled by like looking at the numbers and looked like either guy could get it. Tatum played well. I wouldn't have been mad if Tatum got it because Jaylen Brown also had a few games that were kind of like whatever. But Jaylen Brown winning game 1 the way that he did set the tone for the series, and then he also just played well for the majority of it.
Yeah.
They lose that game 1, we don't know what happens.
But that's kind of, it's like if Tatum plays decent and like you just have so many fail safes. It's like if Tatum's not playing well, you have Brown. And then if Brown's not playing well, Derek White, not consistently going to get you 25, 30, but he can.
Have those games, yeah. And he's
an
amazing defender.
Plays,
he's one of the best. I didn't know he was that good of a defender.
Yeah, if Porzingis,
Drew,
obviously. So like you have Drew and Derek White who are probably going to be guarding.
Yeah, like Drew's
Kyrie
not the best
and Luka.
defender on the backcourt. Like that just doesn't sound fair. Yeah, but he's still that good
he's
of a defender.
Really good,
so it just shows that's just clamps.
Yeah, I mean,
like they're not going to stop Luka and Kyrie, but they're going to do better than anybody can do.
Yeah, and then you have And then if Porzingis plays and he's healthy, that's another guy who can get you 20 at any time. It's just like if their guys aren't playing good, there's a possibility that someone else steps up and does it. And with Dallas, same thing. I mean, we've seen PJ Washington. He dropped 30.
He was averaging 20-something versus OKC.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's what it's going to come down. I think Luka, Kyrie outplay Tatum and Brown.
Yeah, I'm very confident in that.
They just need Lively to play really well. He's a rookie. He has been playing well in the playoffs, but he's a rookie. They need Derek Jones. They need
Gafford.
Gafford's been playing really well. They need PJ. They need those guys to continue what they've been doing. I'm just gonna say fuck it, man. I think we see like a legendary performance from Luka, and it's a 7-game series, and they find a way to do it.
If Tatum don't get one this year, I don't think him and Brown will get one.
Yeah, because they're like the NFL where you're talking about. They're getting paid so much money. Eventually, that's gonna fall apart. I don't even know how they're doing it now, but
because Drew Holiday's a cheaper contract, Derek White's cheaper.
White's gonna get paid.
It's like all those dudes are being underpaid to like basically make Tatum
Tatum's contract hasn't kicked in. Yeah, he's gonna get more than Brown.
Oh yeah.
Brown's like the highest paid player in the NBA right now. Luka's gonna make $70 million a year, something like close to that.
Yeah, Luka
because he's made so many Finals MVP or first team MBAs.
Oh, because you get your max
it goes by that. So your max.
Mark Cuban won't even care. That's why I like him too. He'll just give him whatever. Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It goes by off. You get so much added on for All-Star games, then you get so much added on for first team All NBAs.
Yeah, he's about to get.
Yeah, so he has super because he's hit everything.
He's got super max.
Yeah, he's got the highest max you can possibly get.
Billion.
It was like when Curry hit those MVPs and first team All NBAs, and it like knocked him into another stratosphere. Same thing. So yeah, I'm gonna take Mavs in 7. I really just want a classic series, man.
I think it's gonna be good.
The playoffs kind of sucked.
Yeah, they were all right.
There was some good series like Minnesota and Denver had a couple good games.
Your guys' series with the Pacers was good
until the end when
like
everyone
the
got
injuries.
hurt.
Yeah.
Boston.
Philly and the Knicks was real good.
Philly and Knicks was good. Boston, every team they played, their best player was hurt.
Yeah, those series.
I mean, Luka just packed
Boston,
up Minnesota.
Denver, Lakers wasn't bad for even though it was like a blowout series. Like it was good games.
Same thing kind of with Minnesota, Dallas. They had good games. Even
it wasn't bad.
5-1. I want a classic series, man. I want a Game 7. I miss the feeling of when the Spurs and the Heat played, and then Ray Allen hits that fucking shot.
Nuts.
Like I miss that shit.
Yeah, I want to get some big time moments.
Yeah.
I want to see if Tatum could come through in those moments.
You have the guy that they've been trying to make the biggest American star, and then you have the I would say biggest foreign star. You can put him 2 or 3 behind Giannis and Luka or Joker.
He's definitely he's young too, and he's got that swag to him and the shit talking. So he's on his way. And then you got Kyrie, who's the villain. They said
going back to Boston.
They said there's gonna be so many racial slurs that the first founders of America or whatever are gonna be smiling in their grave or some shit.
Yeah, that's gonna
the founding fathers. They said
I want to see Kyrie drop 40 on fucking Boston in Game 1 or something.
Yeah, I want to see him rub his nuts over the center court after he hits like a game winner.
Yeah, I'm excited. They start Thursday. I gotta work, which sucks, but yeah, I'm really excited for the series. Anything else you want to talk about, like NBA?
No, that's good.
All right, so now I want to have a conversation about Caitlyn Clark. So we already kind of had the conversation off air. We had a little bit of a disagreement. I think it's ridiculous what the WNBA is doing to Caitlyn Clark and Angel Reese. It's not just Caitlyn Clark, but both of these two are probably the 2 biggest young stars to come into the league. Not for off of talent, maybe. Like Sabrina kind of started it, I think.
Yeah,
she was big, but she wasn't nearly as big as these two.
She should have been though. That's more of my issues with the fans. It's not with like.
But the thing is it just has to. It happens for every sport. I mean, the NBA was around for 20 years before people started to care. I mean, you had Kareem, who's top 3 in most people's list. No one cared. I looked at the ratings earlier, and it was like 6 million viewers for the finals, and then you get to the 83 finals. I think it was 83 was the first finals with Magic in it, and it went up to 17 million.
Yeah.
And it's like Kareem is ranked higher than Bird in Magic all time by most people. But he wasn't getting that respect. He wasn't getting the views for NBA. Should Kareem fucking clothesline Bird because Bird comes in and he doubles the viewership?
Yeah.
No, because you're getting paid more. The NBA started getting these chartered flights. It's a rising tide raises all ships. Like I do get it. I do get the bitterness of Sue Bird and these girls who have been amazing. And how do you pronounce is it Aya Wilson? Asia Wilson?
Asia Wilson, I think.
Asia Wilson's been unfucking believable. Sabrina and Stewart, great duo. They were so like Wilson and the Aces have been so good that they just dominated the Liberty, who have a great team, who have 2 future GOATs. I get it, man. Like I get that, but like it's just the way it is. Lisa Leslie was the first star of the WNBA. She leaves the league, and there wasn't a lot of stars after that. It's not just about talent; it's about star power.
Yeah.
You had Sue Bird and all these people coming in the league around the same time and my timeline might be bad. I was like 9 years old when Lisa Leslie left. But those girls just obviously weren't the stars that these girls are. And then Sabrina was, and it kind of helped because Kobe was pushing it. And Sabrina had a ton of hype. She comes in. I believe that was the biggest one before Clark. And these girls are just continuing it.
Yeah.
And the reason Clark, I think, is such a big star is, 2, she does have the talent. She hasn't done anything in the WNBA yet, but coming into the WNBA, she's done individually as much as anyone could do. 2-time player of the year.
So why did Kelsey Plum get that same attention when she was the scoring champion?
Scoring champion?
When
she broke the record?
Leader, yeah.
I don't know, man. It just happened. Like, why did it?
I get
Kareem won 2 championships. Why didn't anyone care?
Yeah, that's my problem.
Or did he win 1 in Milwaukee?
I'm not sure.
I think it was 2. But whatever.
But my problem is, like, it's not the WNBA. I get it. Like, Caitlyn Clark is, as you said, she's doubling the viewer. Like, the viewers of her games compared to these other games are, like, crazy.
Yeah.
So the ticket price for the Fever and the Sky, the cheapest ticket's $254.
Yeah.
People are out here to see it, but my issue, it's not with the WNBA. It's not with Caitlyn Clark. It's with the fans. Like, what makes you want to pay $254 to watch the shitty ass Fever and the shitty ass Sky play? Caitlyn Clark averaging 15 points.
Sky's doing bad too. I thought they were doing okay.
I'll have to look. I thought they sucked.
Maybe they do.
But either way, she averages 15 points on 35% shooting, under about 30% from 3. Like, she's a rookie. Her team sucks. I know Caitlyn Clark's a superstar. I love watching Caitlyn Clark myself. But, like, you're paying that type of money and putting all her games on national television because that's what people want to watch. And my question to these people would be why? Just to the average human, that is the reason these are going up.
As a fan of someone that has watched the past couple years of the WNBA, I understand that viewpoint. But in the bigger picture, these girls, these women, should get over whatever animosity that caused. I understand it. If I was the MVP of the league, whether it was NBA, any league, for 2 years, and then some dude just walks in. But we treat our stars like this in every sport. It's not just the WNBA. Mike Trout and Steven Strasburg was people were charging more for minor league tickets than they were for some major league tickets because he was that big of a star.
Yeah.
And that's just and Steven Strasburg won what? One Cy Young? I know injuries happened and everything.
Yeah, injuries ruined that dude.
But it's like
Sky are 3 and 4, by the way. They stink.
Okay, whatever. I mean, they're almost 500.
It's been 7,
but it's been 7 games.
But they stink.
Cool.
Like, has the Aces lost a game?
No, because the Aces are.
I think they did lose 1.
The Aces are phenomenal.
I actually lost 2, but still.
Yeah. So
Connecticut Sun somehow are 8-0. But, like, we don't care about them.
I know, but what eventually happens in every one of these sports is that it makes you care about it. You can't care about A'ja Wilson unless you watch the sport. We can talk about all the reasons no one was watching before. The only thing that should matter is that they're watching now.
They're watching now.
And when the Fever play the Aces, they're going to get the same viewership, if not better. And if A'ja Wilson drops a fucking triple-double on their head, people are going to be like, holy shit, who the fuck is this? I mean, a sport that has been complaining for so long about the salaries of players, about the conditions of players, and now you get Caitlyn Clark is the number 1, but Angel Reese is also one of the most exciting prospects just from viewership wise, and Cam Brink's up there too. You get these girls. Does it suck? Do you want to give them like the little rookie welcome? Sure, but bro, it's like assault, dude. Like you think the pick? I forgot what lady it was that picked Clark. You think she's doing that to everyone?
Right.
Like you think that Kennedy Carter girl is like shot like. Why?
Well, I'm sure they are jealous that this girl's coming in here and hasn't done or earned anything.
Neither is Kennedy Carter, though.
Well, that's why I told you earlier. I don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
But if we looked when the Fever played the Aces won 99-80. Caitlyn Clark had 8 points. A'ja Wilson had 29 points, 15 rebounds, on 12 of 18 shooting.
But do you not think that her doing that in front of a way bigger crowd than usual is not going to help her?
Caitlyn Clark's what she's bringing to the table is obviously huge and it's positive. I'm not saying it has nothing to do with just Caitlyn. Like, I'm not mad at Caitlyn Clark. I just don't get these fans. That's all it is the fans. If you like the game, why you just want to see this girl come in here?
Like the game before.
But what makes you like it now? She hasn't done shit. She sucks right now. She literally is nothing.
But you're not going off of what she's doing now. You're going off of
what you think she's gonna do.
That
or
and what she's done
in college.
It's same thing with LeBron.
But why
LeBron
not?
was 25-5. That's a good rookie year.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of dudes be 25-5. I'd be willing to bet you go back then and you look at ticket prices for LeBron compared to other rookies LeBron probably wasn't beating Kobe and those dudes, but I'm sure where he went, the ticket prices also raised.
But even still, Wemby wasn't getting he's one of the most hyped up rookies, Wemby, and they had like 3 nationally televised games. And the NBA has a lot of national spotlight.
Yeah, but the thing is the NBA doesn't need that.
That's true.
The NBA doesn't need it. Like the NBA,
the WNBA needs this. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
They're promoting the League Pass now for WNBA and shit. They were never doing that before. So I agree with you there. I agree with what the WNBA is doing. I just don't get these fans that like.
So you don't get the fans. I don't get the players.
Yeah,
I do get it. Like humans aren't perfect. The person who says I don't have a hate and bone in my body. Yes, you do. Whether you quell it and you do your best to not be a hater, all of us.
Yeah, there's certain things that
inside of us have hated before, and we've had to been like, stop. You're being a hater.
Yeah.
Some people just say it, and other people try their best to not be haters.
Yeah.
We all have that. So when you see a girl who had a better college career than you, and because she was so good in college, everyone assumes that she's better than you right now. People do that in sports all the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're a casual sports fan, the best rookie coming in, you're gonna be like that guy.
Yeah, we do it with Caleb Williams.
We do it with everyone. The fact that I understand that. What I don't understand is the straight up hate. Ball on her. Show her, oh, you're a rookie. You think you're the best. I'm going to drop 30 on your head.
Yeah.
That's fine. Even be a little rough with her. But when you're talking, it could be an uncomfortable truth for you. She is your meal ticket.
Yeah.
Her, and then to a slightly less degree, Angel Reese, Cam Brink, Haley Van Lith if she gets it together. Because in a lot of it could be because of whatever reason. It could be because of looks. If you want to say it's because she's a white superstar, which makes no sense in my opinion, and we could talk about that because we'll just talk about I'll bring that up later. For whatever reason, Haley Van Lith might bring a ton of viewership, even though she wasn't even one of the best college players last year because she's a very attractive girl. She uses TikTok. She brings, same thing with Cam Brink. Cam Brink posts on Instagram all the time. She's very big into fashion. It doesn't matter why. You should be accepting this. If you want to do the rookie things where they have to pay for the meal, or if you're being a little extra rough with them, whatever, no one would bat an eye. But when you're straight up tackling a girl to the ground, when you're leaning shoulders,
what about Caitlyn Clark talking shit to possession before though?
But everyone talks shit. That's not an excuse.
She called her a bitch though. That shit pissed her off.
Bro, we see that in the NBA.
But
all
we
the
see
time.
people respond too once in a while.
Yeah, but you don't see it that way. You don't see it that way. Luka, we saw it with Morris.
You don't know Draymond Green.
Draymond, yeah, and we all talk shit about Draymond.
I love Draymond
though. Draymond does that and gets the criticism for it.
Yeah.
He gets suspended all the time. The NBA, all I'm saying is if you flip switch, if David Stern tomorrow became the WNBA commissioner, shit would never happen.
Ain't he dead?
I'm an idiot. Silver, my bad. Adam Silver.
Don't disrespect my man. Adam Silver's goated. Don't disrespect Adam Silver, man.
I'm an idiot. If Adam Silver became if
David Stern became the commissioner, that should be nuts.
I'm that dumb. If Adam Silver became the commissioner tomorrow of the WNBA, this shit would never fly. It would never fly in the NBA. If people were tackling, like Wemby is mad small. If Joker did what he did to Morris to Wemby, like that's just not flying.
But Joker did do that shit.
He did it, but they were physical, like they were being physical. Morris did something to play.
Joker's got a history of those, couple of those dirty plays where people piss him off.
Yeah, I mean,
so that
but it was a huge deal.
I'm just saying that lady was pissed off. I mean, I don't know about her background history of what technical.
Her background, she's Draymond.
So there you go. She called Draymond a bitch. she talked to the wrong one.
No, but the thing,
it's not like you got like Kelsey Plum or these girls who have no history of it, like going after her. Yeah, like when the Aces
but
they
did. They not.
That's what I was gonna ask you. When they whooped their ass, were they on her ass?
I didn't watch that game, so I'm not gonna talk about it. But they did. Maybe not physically. They're not going after her because you don't want them committing fouls anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe other people on their team. I'd have to go back and watch it. I've just seen at least 4 or 5 clips from different games of people doing outrageous fouls to her, and then I see the things that people say, and not just her, Angel Reese as well. The one girl literally tackled Angel Reese to the ground. But Sue Bird, all these girls, they were saying things where it was like passive aggressively hating before the season started. And now you have people like physically doing it.
But you
gotta
think though,
God
like
forbid
Sue
this
Bird,
woman get hurt. God forbid this woman get hurt. And
Yeah.
now you're making less money, and then 3 years from now, you're back online complaining about the pay
Yeah,
discrepancy.
I do understand your point there. If you're one of the ones complaining about that stuff, and she's the biggest thing that's changing your environment, then you shouldn't. But when I look at somebody like Sue Bird, one of the greatest players ever,
Yeah.
I think I would be a hater. Like I done what she's done. Like she hasn't done what I've done. Why didn't I get that treatment?
I don't know. I mean, maybe because the league was 10 years old when you were.
It just
that's just
it's gonna upset them though. Sue Bird just don't got bread now. You know what I'm saying? Like Caitlyn Clark's probably making more bread than Sue Bird's whole career. That shit's gotta suck.
Okay, but what you got to do? I mean, this is completely off the thing with sports. The student loan thing. There were certain people who hated it because they're conservative and they don't like spending money. Whatever. I don't hate you for having that opinion. You're being consistent in your views, whatever. But there were certain people who said, I paid my student loans. Why shouldn't they? It's just a hating-ass view. Just because we do something wrong for a long time doesn't mean we should continue to do something wrong forever. Sue Bird, you deserved it. The WNBA should have been bigger. I agree. On Sue Bird's back and people like that, Sue Bird is basically like Bill Russell.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it takes some nuance to explain that, but Bill Russell, when he came into the league, do you think he was making a lot of money?
Right.
Wilt Chamberlain has better stats than anyone in the history of the NBA. Do you think he was making the kind of money? No, it takes a long time of building up, and you could either hate that and hate the women that are propped up on what you did. You did that so she could do that.
Yeah.
Like that, you should be happy. You should be like, wow, if I came into the league at 2024, I would make a lot more money. And that sucks that I didn't make the money I should have, but because of the things I did and the things that Lisa Leslie did and the things that Candace Parker did and the things that, what's the coach from South Carolina?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The things that that we
Staley,
did,
whatever.
now Angel Reese is probably going to make more money than I ever did. Cameron Brink's going to make more money than I ever did. Carduso came out this year too, right? Like, these girls, you should be happy about it. And I really don't understand why
But
you're
is
not.
anybody making anywhere near Caitlyn Clark?
The money more from the salary. Caitlyn Clark's making her money because she's a star. That's
She's
just the
making
way
her money
America.
off Nike.
Yeah, Nike came to her and gave her that contract. You're gonna be mad at her about it?
You're not mad at her.
But they're taking it out.
Yeah, that's
on
true.
Her.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
I would just be mad. Like, why did she get that deal? She averages 15 a game. She's
If
not.
I was-
She ain't a star. We just assume she's gonna be a star.
Yeah, I mean, she's a star. She's a star.
But she's not though. Her team's
her
2-9, and her stats suck.
LeBron was 25-5. That's not all-star level. He's a star. Zion Williamson came into the league with a contract. Zion Williamson hasn't
Well, it's different because
played.
everybody comes to the league with a contract in the NBA.
Why?
Why?
Did they win Bird and Magic then?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, man. You got me there.
Like, Jordan got paid like $1 million, and they were like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Jordan made $1 million on his first contract. LeBron's made over $1 billion. Like,
I do see what you're saying.
It's just the way it is, and you should be happy about it. And if you don't think she's a star, if you don't think she's better
I
than
think
you,
she's gonna be one of the greats. I'm just saying, like right now, she ain't shit,
yeah. I mean,
and she's just getting the treatment as if it's like she's the best player ever.
but she's not. She's not really like from the.
She's getting the only nationally televised games. Every
But
time I
that's-
see a game on TV, it's them.
But that's not for her sake. That's for the WNBA sake.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, I'm going to make more money. When they go, NBA contracts, almost all contracts in professional sports are based off of TV deals. There's other shit that goes into it, but TV deals are far and away the number one reason there's so much money in the sport. The only way to get a better TV deal is to go, stop calling me, bro, is to go, look it, we doubled our viewership numbers. You need to double your contract.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. We just don't see it in the WNBA or in the NBA, and maybe that's because maybe people were like this too about Bird and Magic or whatever.
Yeah, you're right, because I wasn't alive to know.
Maybe,
I didn't know
maybe
any
it was
of that.
like this.
When I grew up, obviously everybody was getting their bread.
Yeah, like no one hated LeBron. No one tried to like welcome to the league, punch in the fucking face.
But they also couldn't though. Boy came into the league 6'8", 240. Like, yeah, try that shit.
That is.
Did you know the other problem we didn't bring up, and I know Shannon Sharpen then brought it up,
What?
is her teammates don't even defend her. They it's like they invite that shit. That's the crazy part.
That was another thing I wanted.
Like if somebody came at LeBron, like I don't remember exactly his rookie team, but just tell me Gauskas and Verjao were like ready for whatever. People are going to think about that a little bit
Someone
more.
comes at Curry, you don't think Draymond's
Yeah,
like
so they're
that?
scared to do it as well. They just let Caitlyn Clark get body slammed, and they're just like, yeah, that shit sucks.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
If you do that shit like in the Chicago versus Chicago, like Angel Reese is going to defend her teammates, like they're going to have people.
Angel Reese
defending.
has a lot more size to her too. Like
Yeah.
you
So
can't
they
just-
are
you can't
bullying
just
Caitlyn
bully.
Clark, but like where's like Aaliyah Boston and where's her
Oh
teammates?
no, yeah,
at?
I agree 1,000%.
That's
Because I also think they got hate in their hearts for this.
But
shit.
they shouldn't because they're on her team. They really are benefiting. They're getting all the attention is on them. They have a chance to make a name for themselves because of her.
I don't know, man. For all these years, we've just been hearing about women you need to support other women, support the WNBA, and it was just like, well, women aren't watching the WNBA. They don't pay for it, and now it's like the girls in the league even are being haters. I don't know, man.
It is weird.
I don't see the reason. I don't see the intelligence behind it. I don't see any of that. And the Kennedy Carter thing is like she has a history of that. It's not like maybe she's just doing it to do it. It's not just because it's Caitlyn Clark, but it's just like I don't know, man.
If you were one of the people complaining about it, and then you have this girl, coming in and changing up in the way that you wanted things to be changed. Now you're getting the better planes, the better meals, the better hotels, and then you're mad at her. That now you're just corny.
Yeah.
That I agree with 100%.
And then they try to say that it's like, oh, it's not like Angel Reese said, it's not just her. Like I'm the villain. Like I'm also a big star. It's like you are. You absolutely are. But the
you're
numbers,
not, though.
but the numbers say that you're not close to to Clark. And then like other people are like, oh, it's they want Kennedy Carter. What does she really do other than shoot threes? It's like. She already, as bad as she's been playing, she already has better stats than you ever have in your
she's drawing double and triple teams.
Yeah, on a bad team.
Yeah.
And then there's other people who are like, oh, she's only popular because she's white. It's like, okay, then why didn't Sabrina Ionescu?
That I could see being a thing.
What, the white?
Yeah.
Why didn't Sabrina Ionescu do this? Why didn't
she just wasn't the star that Clark was? Like she was really good, and she is really good, but I don't know.
Well, Cameron Brink's white and gorgeous. Why isn't
she in America though? Is she?
She's American.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
I thought she was something else.
No. Why isn't she bigger than Caitlyn Clark? Why wasn't Sue Bird? Why wasn't Breanna
Kelsey
Stewart?
Plum should be the star, man.
Why isn't Kelsey Plum? Like why aren't they?
Yeah.
It's not like the NBA where it's like you have one fucking white guy from America.
Who would that be?
And even no, like that's what I'm saying. Like there's no basis for that. Like
Yeah,
who's the most popular NBA player? LeBron. Who's the second most popular NBA player? Curry. Like we need to get past that. You need to stop blaming it. This isn't 1996 when Eminem came out. Like, this is 2024. The second biggest player out of the rookie class is Angel Reese, not Cameron Brink. I don't know. At the end of the day, stop being a hater. Beat her on the court. Show her you're better.
Yeah.
Ball the fuck out and be entertaining while you get the views that she's bringing you. Do that. Be a grown-up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
I don't get it. And for the fans, yeah, watch the fucking watch Liberty and the Aces. Like watch these teams. If you want to say that you're a fan, yeah, I agree with your point wholeheartedly.
If you want to watch good ball, then watch those teams.
Yeah.
Like right now, the Fever are horrible.
Yeah.
I watched the one play. Caitlyn Clark inbounded it to this girl wide open. She just dropped the shit under the rim. It was about to be an easy layup.
I do get like the paying the tickets. It's like I just want to see her. I think she's gonna be a Hall of Famer one day. I want to see her. I get that. Like whatever. The Lakers were fucking awful in Kobe's last year, and people still paid top dollar to go see.
But he
him
was
play.
already solidified. It was
Yeah,
his last chance to see him.
true. I don't know. That's just my feelings on it. I don't.
No, you got good points. I agree. I mean,
The one criticism I absolutely do get is Monica McNutt to Stephen A. Because she was like, you could have been doing this for 3 years. You had the platform. Like, you could have brought eyes on the sport. I do get the criticism of mass media not covering the sport like they do until Clark got there.
Yeah, that's I just.
I absolutely do get that because like we could have been further than we already are before
Clark could have taken it to
Clark
another
was
level
always
now.
going to take it to another
Yeah.
level. But we could have been higher than we already are. We could have had a better baseline if you guys would have paid attention to it earlier. And there's been stuff to pay. It's been deeper the past couple of years. So like, Yeah, man. I mean, hopefully for the WNBA, these good drafts keep happening. I mean, you got 3 stars in one draft, maybe 4 stars in one draft this year.
Next year's class is fire too.
Next year's class,
Juju Watkins will be coming out.
Come out.
Paige
Are you
will
sure she
come
come out?
I think so.
No, because I think you need to do 3 years. I thought.
Oh, is that how they do it?
I think I might be wrong, but I think you have to do 3 years.
Paige will be able to come out.
Paige, like Haley Van Lith, who was really good 2 years ago, wasn't really good last year. Maybe she does really well in another situation. She's a big star outside of basketball. It's like, and it's not just the ball. I get that because now with like these people use TikTok, these people find other ways to make themselves popular, which then bleed into the sport. But yeah, man, I just feel like the league's going to be deeper, and that's only good enough. That's only good for you.
Yeah.
The reason I never liked the WNBA is because there was 2 good teams. I don't want to just watch the same 2 teams. It was the reason I didn't like college football for a long time. It was the reason I didn't like college basketball for one time. I don't want to see the same 5 teams dominate everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not, I don't want to do it. It's not. It hasn't been that way for a couple years. So I don't know, man. Hopefully it's just like the first 10 games and they'll get over it and the shit will die down and the season will just go on the way a season should go.
Yeah.
And you guys don't have to fucking kill Angel Reese and kill Caitlyn Clark. Like, I don't know, but shout out my baby Cameron Brink, though, leading the league in blocks. I love her. But that's all I got for today, man. You got anything else?
Nah.
Yankees' best record in baseball with the Phillies.
They're too good, man.
Yeah, and Aaron Judge is on fire.
Yeah, he had an amazing month.
Stanton's on fire again. The lower guys, well, Verdugo's playing really well, but like Cabrera's not playing as good as he was. Everyone else, though.
LeMahieu's back now too, though. So
everyone else is playing better.
Yeah,
like,
everybody's
Torres
playing
is
well.
playing way better than he did the first month of the season. Rizzo's playing a little bit better. Still
Soto's
kind of
the best.
sucks. Soto's just the best. But yeah, man, that's all we got. Next week, we're done with the Dynasty. Should we just start fantasy, man?
Yeah, we have to just start getting ready.
Just start regular fantasy. Well, let's do a $30 FFPC if we can't afford the other ones, just to see like how the drafts are going. I know they suck, but just to like for the content, we'll do like an FFPC draft and see how it goes. Yeah, that's it, man. Thank you guys for listening.
Time to eat.
Follow us everywhere. Trap Nerd Sports, Emerge Creators. Come out here, man. The studio's getting better every day. I know a lot of you guys got stuff to say, man. Come on in here. Appreciate you guys. Follow us, listen, subscribe everywhere. Peace.
Peace.